until we get back to you guys at 2, which we will, you've got Joey Options, who may or may not like the blackened fish. You've got the Professor, who's already had 17 eggs, so he's locked and loaded and ready to go.
He's definitely 100% full.
You've got some madness and some small cappers, some options. Talk about probably some Bitcoin or ETH, which is doing actually much better today. Let's go get it, boys. Enjoy the show.
Comes on the screen, you know what's up.
Yeah, you know what's up. Oh, you're wearing what? Oh, we got the same gear on today. We didn't,
Beautiful people, welcome to the midday show. That right there is your boy Joey Options, and I'm Sharif. Where are my peoples at? Let's go. Let's go, YouTube. We got Halmies. We got Bob Knob. How about Darwin? The OG's back. Shout out to the OG Darwin. A proper dang paradox. And we got Damien Tarza, Adrian, 35. We got Big Joel, and we got Dijon Mustard, B1G Wick Energy. Love that. PC Duck. Gin Vesting and Farm Trader joining us as well. Shout out to Man Ford Man, D Westermeyer, the OGD. We got Mig Raj and Roger Noonan, Ticker Checker, Roadrunner in the house, Cucumber Road, whatever. Sorry, I probably butchered that. Jaguar Knot. We got Adrian again, Mr. Ian, 2 New York cents. We got Grandpa Trades. That's what I want to see. I want to see Grandpa Trades there. You know, I always say old man hands can't hang. Likewise, you know, we're in the same team there together. Shout out to HC Baby 888 and Buddhist Priest. Shout out to ABF Unlimited and Big Sky 69. Excellent choice of numbers there. Good morning, Joseph. Everything good on your end there? I saw you sat some nice Ether trades. Show the people.
Yeah, man. We were Ether, man, doing some due diligence on that, and honestly just kind of going with the flow on this one, guys. Nothing special, to be honest with you. This is what we just try to do. At the end of the day, if we could pull up the old screen, I took 2 trades today. That's going to be on Ether and on SoundHound. We'll go over SoundHound first, and then we'll break down what was cooking up on Ether. So essentially with SoundHound, it's trading really nice right now. I took a long. Where is it? It's nowhere to be found.
Show yourself long.
Did it? Where is it? Why can't we find it, Sharif? Okay, there it is. No, there it is. Bang. So yeah, we went long once here at the break of the volume weighted average price, and then it stopped out, and I just didn't take a second stab at it. I'm like, okay, let me focus on Ether. So that was a break-even trade, and then you can see after SoundHound, a nice move to the top side and continue its trend throughout the trading session so far this today, guys. All right, so let's break down the ETHA trade. So you can see where Ether was opening up on a daily. We'll pull that up here real quick to see what we got going on. I was looking at some gold futures, ETH. So yeah, essentially what we're playing is the break of this resistance zone right here, and you can see last night's session we were relatively strong, and in the post market we were continuing to climb. So I'm like, all right, today might be the day where we go for that push, and we're just going to try to take advantage of it. I can go through the notes as well. I'm going to get stopped out break even here momentarily, it looks like, but that's okay. Anyways, let's break this down. So we were long here. I'm like, oh, this is so strong. Tape extremely strong. Okay, I got to get out of that. So I'm all out of that Ether trade. So there it is, boom, we enter, we triple the position up, and then boom, 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 we just take it to the top side. And then I added, but I was just free rolling essentially, and then I got stopped out. I did take a small loss on that one, but nothing substantial whatsoever. It was just a small 10% add to look for the move to the top side. And then here we go again. I'm like, perfect, an indecision print at the volume weighted average price. Let's start building a position. Boom, boom, we get going. It holds those lows relatively well. I wasn't sized too heavy, so it allowed me to hold this position. And then as soon as the volume started to stair step higher, that's when we got involved in this name, and we added a little bit more to the position, and boom, boom, we take it off. And I did get stopped out right there, about 50% the remaining of these 3 adds. So yeah, Ether was definitely our better trade on the day, a big breakout of that previous pivot high, Sharif.
Okay, all right. Big Spile Burdette, not wasting any time. Shout out to my man, Big Spile, $10 super chat. Just pause for a second. Ram, we got to cover the super chat. Barking like an... Oh, I thought you said go to it, Dara. My bad. Don't read the second half. After the exclamation points, Ram? Okay, barking like an alpha wolf over here with my sound hound calls, baby. I'm not allowed to read the second part there, Big Spile, but thank you very much for the $10 super chat. A very good friend of mine.
You can't read that? I don't think it's that bad.
I was prohibited, Joey. You know, we live in fear of the production team, right?
Yeah,
so when the production team says something, you know, I just.
Well, Ram gave me permission.
She gave you permission?
Yeah, that's fine. All right, Kyle, let's see what you got going on here, all right? Joey, an alpha is a strong male figure who holds the position of control.
Oh.
Like your lady.
Oh, no, he didn't go there.
He went there.
He went there.
Yeah.
You hear that one, Obe? You hear Obe? You heard it. We all heard it. We all read it. We all saw it.
Yeah. Well, let me
the way we're gonna start the show like that. We're gonna start the show like that.
Let me tell you this.
Oh my goodness.
Let me tell you this here, Big Spile.
I see you, D. I see you, D.
Look at this one here, Sharif. Let me listen.
Show
Listen up, Big
what's
Spile.
up, Joey.
What's that right
Show 'em
there?
what's up,
Boom.
Joey.
We enter right there. What do we
Show 'em
do
what's
right
good,
there?
man.
We triple up right there.
There you go.
Boom, 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 boom.
Boom, boom.
We take it, and then what? Oh, we get right back in, Kyle. Ooh, that's what we got going on. Did you get back into SoundHound? I don't know. So hey.
Tell him what's good,
Big
Joey.
dog, man. Who's the big dog over here, brother? Looks like me, my friend.
All right, we're howling, we're punching into positions. I mean, this is what a trading show is all about, right? I mean, like, get it, Adara. All right, Adara, ever the supporter, bro. Good vibes, Adara, that's what that is. All right, now we're putting in some orders over here. We've weaseled into PAPL. This is on the MX network, guys. So it's .am for anybody who has to select the gateway. D, I saw your tag. Thank you, D. Westermeyer, for the super chat earlier. I know Neil and Obe were busy with that. I promise I'll get to it. He's long laser at 24.69. Excellent thoughts. I'll give you my thoughts momentarily, my friend, but we're just in this position. We're in 01s. We're looking for the hold generally of the volume weighted average price and a pop back up. We've got a bunch of prints on, but there's a seller here at 5. Now, you'll notice on the screen, I also have an unfilled resting order south of 5. It's waiting at 88. The purpose of that order is to defend the volume weighted average price. The VWAP and the EMA kind of close to one another. In addition to that, they're all really close to the whole $5 support level, psychological support that is. So we'll see if we can work our way above. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip to the 5-second chart now so I can spot areas of support and resistance. And as I suspected and as the tape was showing me, the seller is there at 5. We have not been able to get above 505. Alas, we do have higher lows. And there goes the seller into 7s. Now, can we continue? No. So we back down. Okay, yes, we take out more orders. Into 10s we go. So we're going to encounter likely more resistance at that 15 to 20 penny area if we even get there. So we'll continue to watch as we zig and zag here with $5. I've also got BTAI resting orders here to take advantage of the space between the 10 and the 20 EMA on the 5. So that's what I'm looking for there. I'm looking for BTAI. I'm looking for the money fills in and around that area. We'll see what we get, and we won't get upset. There's a bunch of small cap gappers moving today, and I will get to a lot of them. VVPR is one of them. EBS is one of them as well. CAPR. But I really want to manage this PAPL trade before I weasel into something else. So that's what I'm going to do there, Joey. Then I'm going to set up and look at D. Westermeyer's laser for him there.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Gorev, yeah, way to point that out there, brother. I got it up, and I've seen this name hit $117 today. Ooh, look at that hammer right at the volume-weighted average price as well, too, Gorev. So there it is. I know that's what you're talking about. That beautiful, beautiful indecision print at the highs, man. Google continuing to climb. Now about to break through some key resistance. I'm curious as to what this may be. Why does it do that? I'm curious as to what this level may be. So let's zoom out and see what we got going on from a daily, because that 200 inflection point seems...
Oh!
Who's this from?
What the hell is this? What? I'm trying to punch into positions here, man.
I like plans, man.
This better not be from who I think
Oh,
it is,
wow.
Huh?
There you
Who is
go.
this, bro? Man, I don't got time for this, man. All right, let's go. We're trading right now, man. I don't got time for this, bro. All right, so we're focusing PAPLs. Breaking down, bro. I got shit to do. All right, so we're focusing on PAPL at the moment, looking for the higher lows to hold. We've got 87s on at the moment. I'm looking for the hold at the $0.5. Joey, I need you to cover first.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, let's go back and look at what this 200 level is on Google here, guys, to see what we got going on. Sorry, I'll stop leaning so forward. Yeah, so that was that key level right around there. So yeah, pretty good look on GOOGL. Going to break that 207. I think we're on that move where we're going to do so. I'll sit back here and see what we got going on. But yeah, Ether done for now. I am going to be looking for the continuation within the strength as well throughout the session. So it may take some time, but if we get those programs to step right back in, then I think we're going to be doing okay. We do have definitive bases as well, so that's something positive. As you can see, someone in the chat and I were talking about Bitcoin. He's like, yeah, Ethereum can't move without Bitcoin moving higher. I respectfully disagree on that fact. Bitcoin is still negative on the session, probably roughly around 1%, and at the highs, Ether was roughly over 3%, okay? So just keep that in mind. It's significantly stronger, and then sure enough, you have a key support level. So as long as we continue to hold this, I will be looking for the continuation in strength, and if it does break, then maybe we won't get that continuation in what exactly I'm looking for. So,
ooh, I like it.
So it's...
Sorry about that.
No, tacos I heard. That's all I heard. So at the end of the day, yeah, and there goes Google continuing to that top side, looking for those key levels to hold on ETHA. If there's any indecision at the lows, then essentially what I'm going to be looking for is another move and an additional leg higher. But you can see what we have constructed is a lower high. So just keep that in mind. Who knows? We might compress. We might form somewhat of a wedge here. And if that's the case, throughout the session, I'm going to be keeping my eye on it, monitoring it to see if we do get that, and then I'm going to play that break to the top side. But for me personally, there's too much good going for Ethereum right now in order for it to not continue. Obviously it can, but it may not be through today. There's going to be multiple sessions where we're going to have the ability to take advantage of this trade.
All right, we're doing it freaking live over here on PAPL. Like, I broke a whole bunch of my rules to get out of this position. Now I'm going to flatten out for exactly the reason why I just articulated. I don't even care if this runs. I broke a whole bunch of my rules to get out of this. So we're actually quite positive on it, and substantially so. So happy about that, but that was just a whole bunch of rule breaking right there. I'm not proud of this trade. We're positive on it, but I'm not proud of it at all because I broke my rule about VWAP. I dollar cost averaged without having planned DCAs. So that's the last time I'm going to do that today. But anyway, we'll be positive on this one, and won't feel good about it. Let's go back now to BTAI, see exactly what I got over here on this type. I didn't get filled over here, so this one's really kind of slowing down. So I'm going to cancel both of these right here. They're no longer valid for me. It looks like BTAI will hold the 10 exponential moving average on the 5, and that's where I need to base it. So let me bring in my side charts over here. Okay, yep, there we go. So I got zero patience today. So if you idiots are going to be idiots in the chat, you're just going to get blocked. I got zero patience, okay? So here we go. This idiot's getting blocked as well. All right, so now let's go into VVPR. Let's watch this one as it makes new highs into 535. This one's up about 35%. And it's got a lot of wicks per range per 5-minute candle. So each different candle has a whole bunch of range. So I'm looking for a hold up of that $5 area. If it ends up holding that 5, fantastic. If not, it's quite close to VWAP, so we can DCA into that volume weighted average price. So that's what I'll be looking at for VVPR. BTAI will be a specifically 10 EMA trade. I don't feel it respected VWAP at all on the way up, or even when it was at it would look like the line of best fit, more like it. So that's what I'll be basing my trade on BTAI. If I do get in, it'll be the 10 EMA on the 5. But I also want to mention CAPR. This one is also respecting the 10 EMA and the 5, and it hasn't breached it once, whether you're looking from 9:30 or even earlier. This one comes in right into the 10 EMA, finds support, and now it's forming into a hammer candle. Not a big 14.25. We'll keep eyes on that. And then last but not least, HL. This one's not a big mover. It's a 4% winner, but it's got a nice little bull flag forming here off VWAP. That could be of interest to me, Joey.
Yes, absolutely. I was just going to do something here. We'll go and see what we got. Make sure we document everything. because that's how we go. So we can go back and check and see what we did wrong and see what we did correctly and just try to refine our system. Yeah, so Bitcoin potential bottoming signal, the volume isn't necessarily there, but we'll take it at those lows as the market is still hovering around the top end of the volume weighted average price and potentially going to head to the high of the day. Pathik, as for Apple, I mean, anything can happen, right? So just take a look at this. 225 isn't out of the picture, but I mean, that is still quite a ways away. So just keep that in mind. We're gonna probably have to see some pullbacks in between. But with that being said, we can always take a look at the options chain to see if there's anything specific around those levels. I sent the O chain to Obi. There is some open interest at that 200 level on GOOGL, 41,100 contracts at that specific strike price. So keep that in mind. That expires today. But enough of Google. Let's hop into AAPL. And see what we got going on there. 225. Ooh, all right. So yeah, you're gonna want to keep an eye out on this. Just in case we don't get to those levels, you can see we're starting to build somewhat of a concentration through these specific 220 areas. So 220, 222 and a half, 225, all right? So just keep that in mind. There is some congestion. If it continuously rejects, just go with what the market is telling you that we may not climb any higher. So keep an eye out on that one there. What we will do is we'll use our strategy builder as well throughout the session so we can just take a look at some setups. This is what I was talking about earlier. Oops. So we'll go like this. So we'll just clear all legs. That was just the condor profile. Oops. What did I do here? So yeah, there it is. I'll just do the example on NVDA that we did. So we'll do that. 200. Okay, that's not working. Anyways, we'll get back to this later after I'll set it up and then I'll display it. But for me personally, it's just looking for Ethereum to continuously hold these lows there, Sharif.
Yes, sir. Still keeping my eye on BTAI, still holding the 10 EMA, but you feel like this one's definitely got a seller at 40. So I pulled up the 5-second chart, and then you can kind of see every time we wake up above 35, 40, there's aggressive selling. It happened initially right at 9:40. It happened again at 10:30, and it happened again right now at the 11:10 candle. That's the bad news. The good news is the dips are being bought up at higher and higher levels. So I do like this kind of flat top break possibility through 440. I think it would be a hell of a move. Obviously, the high of the day is 449, but I mean, it's not really the wicks that I'm basing the trades on. It is more about where the closing prints are. So if the closing prints are gonna hang out here, I'm absolutely interested in picking this up off a dip into the 10 EMA. And then for a possible flat top break. But knowing full well that the flat top breaks, they haven't been as consistent lately, especially when you see a lot of these higher lows. So I don't want to, get too worked up and build a strong position only to have it lose the 10 EMA and drop into VWAP. If that ends up doing that, then, we'll go negative on the day. So what I'll do is I'll set up an initial position over here. I want to say at 430. So we'll go ahead and set up at 430. I'll front run it by like a shekel. Bless you, Neil. We'll keep my eye out on that one, and then we can see if we can punch into that one there. OPRX says Pradaz. Let's see what OPRX is doing. What do we got on that one? Yeah, that's below the, I don't want to say, is it below the pre-market high? No, it's not actually. It's it just reclaimed VWAP. Let me show OPRX. Not bad. But I thought this was a pre-market high, but it's not. That's actually regular trading hours. So that was a 945 spike. Not bad. It went kind of green to red. Now it's going back into Greensville. I'm not really sure if this is my type of stock. It doesn't seem like it has trend. It just seems like it has range. So I'm going to say no to that one. But yeah, I'll keep my eye on it. Thank you for pointing that one out. Yeah, so I've got nothing on, Joey, except keeping my eye on BTAI, trying to set up for a dip trade, but not letting me in at the moment.
Right on, yeah. I'm back into ETH, just really, really small at the lower end of the range here, guys. 30s flat. So let's see if we can just hold this specific key level, and then we'll get involved in that here. I'll display it. So there it was. This is our second entry on ETH. This was just the ad, sorry. And then we took it off. We did get stopped out of a bit, but now we're at the lower end of the range, which is really good. So I only have to risk a couple of cents, about 10, 15 cents on this. So we'll keep that in mind. But anyways, back to the profile and some of the strategy builders here. So let me exit this. So what I was essentially getting at this morning was So with earnings, if you don't exceed that expected move on day one and it's relatively weak and it stays inside that, a day or two after, you can start writing the expected move highs and lows. And this is essentially what I established here on NVDA. So you can use, I utilize the delta strikes a bit as well too, just so we can get a percentage metric of the probability in which it will expire worthless. So at the end of the day, we have a 200 and 205 bear call spread, and then a 165 and a 160 bull put spread. And then we'll take a look at the profile. And this might be easier for you to understand how this trade works. So it's important to understand these charts as well too. So you can see within our specific range, 199.95 and then 164.72. This is our profit range. And as long as the underlying asset stays within those specific strike prices, you get to collect the whole premium of per contract combination of $150. All right. So the key of that is every day after the earnings, you're not exceeding it, you're staying within that range. Like we've seen in the example of Microsoft, you get to slowly collect that premium, and that's going to be theta decay and volatility decay in this instance. So keep an eye out on this. Why do I have on up to August 29th expiration cycle? That's not necessarily what you want to use considering the reports on the 27th. You want to go to September 19th, whatever, a couple weeks out, and then just hold those contracts throughout, all right? So that's just a strategy that I've used on different occasions, and I've even just done straight up bull put spreads when moves have gone south of the expected move, right? So a dump on the earnings report exceeded that, and then indecision prints were formed, and then I just write bull put spreads in the likes of Amazon. We've seen a couple examples a quarter or two ago.
Everyone keeps talking about CGC, and I looked over. It's up 34% on the day. I mean, it's up above $1.40. So let's look at CGC. It's got a seller here. Looks like at $1.40 mostly. Even though the high is there $1.43. Kind of looks like it's bull flagging with support off the 10 EMA on the 5, so it's not a bad look. But it's, you know, there's not going to be that kind of explosive movement. So I'll keep it on the side. If it ends up breaking out aggressively, we'll keep an eye on that. CAPR is the one that I kind of want to work into now that BTA is not letting me, BTAI I should say, is not letting me in. What I'm looking for here on CAPR, I want to see if it wants to hold that 9-10 area. So what I'm going to do is spready though, it's 6 penny spread right now. Yeah, I don't know if this is the one for me. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'll leave a resting order in and around that area. Also, I want to mention NEGG. This one we talked about a while back. I think it had an outsized day as well last week, maybe the week before. It's got another outsized day, man, 30%. This one's a lot more expensive than the regular stocks that I trade, but it's got a nice little rounded bottom off that VWAP. Looks like there's a 75 defender here because barely any wicks, for the exception of one, actually lost 75, excuse me. So it looks like it's working its way back up into kind of 76, 77 territory. This one's also very spready. It's about $1 spread right now, 76.50 on the bid, 77.50 on the ask, so be on the lookout for that. Yeah, that's all I got. Let's see what else we can do here with BTAI. Yeah, still not letting me in there, but this one it feels like it's closing in on that flat top break a lot faster than I thought. So it's above 440 right now, and if this candle closes the way it is, which has got a couple of more minutes, it's actually going to close for the first time above 440 because we were talking about that level being the real level, despite the fact that the high of the day is 449. So let's see what I can do here, given the price of the stock. I can punch in here, and then I'll look to DCA off the 10 EMA. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So we're going to punch in, and we're going to set up a dip trade. I'm going to set it up at 35s, even though the actual price of the 10 EMA is a little bit lower, like 33. So that's what we'll do. We'll set up a little bit right over here, and we'll look to take advantage of that. Well, simultaneously, we should probably put beak wetters into 45s, and then I'll put it into the high 80s, or high 40s, excuse me, as well. So that we'll keep an eye on that. PAPL, I see that one is working its way right back up. So this one hasn't respected VWAP on any occasion. So if you're going to trade PAPL, my suggestion to you is don't base your trades on VWAP. Have a look at what the white line has done here. Does it look like support and resistance or more like a line of best fit? So what I've been trying to gauge is where the buyers are stepping in. And they're certainly not stepping in off any of these moving averages because it's breached all the moving averages, you know, pretty much willy-nilly. And I don't really see either a price level off which you could say, oh, you know, the buyers are stepping in here. It does look maybe like there's 420 wicks, and then when you look at the closing prints, they look like more 450. Hard to gauge, hard to gauge. All I know is that this one, once it makes new highs, it has a propensity to retrace. So you have this area over here, got up into 520, drops all the way, makes a new high, drops all the way back to 425. Same thing over here. Goes to, makes a new high at 1045, drops all the way back to 420. So if this one makes highs, look for the reversion on PAPL. It seems to be that kind of stock. That's all I got, Joey.
All right, brother. Whoa, okay, yeah, way to go, Micron. Big time move up there. Gaurav, are you involved in this? Nice indecision print at that 5-minute opening. So there you go, and it hasn't looked back, essentially, so... okay, so yeah, I mean, there it is. I was looking for a long in this name. What a bugger, man. Oh, my days. So yeah, guys, essentially for my swing trading, I was long here, right? And then I got stopped out at the break of the lows, and then eventually it put in another indecision print after a couple gap downs, and then now running into my target. So I was in at 113, 118 was my target. I just never got right back into it. So yeah, it is what it is at the end of the day. I'm not mad or anything, so held some key support levels, and you can see as you just step down, there's another level that it's been holding. So yeah, MU is definitely a solid trader of the day. There's no questioning that. Come on, Ethereum, we're back involved in this. We're going to continuously add to this position as long as we don't break this 29.90 support level. All right. So and I like what BMR is up to as well. Shout out to my guy Tom Lee. Might have to get involved in this name. I don't know.
He's telling me about this thing all morning, bro.
And we're going to talk about it today. We'll go over some of those points that I was bringing up, and I think it's just such a pivotal moment for Ethereum, to be honest with you. So much good is going for it right now, and I'm not saying that's not the case with Bitcoin or anything along those lines. We know that it's a store of value, but with Ethereum, it's just the smart contracts and just using the network. It just has a lot of benefits, and I think considering that Wall Street is looking to adopt it now, then why not get involved into it? If Wall Street likes it, then your boy most definitely likes it there, Sharif. There's no questioning that one. But yeah, BMNR looking really, really good. Actually, my friend was telling me on the way to the bachelor party up north, he's like, yeah, I'm involved in this. I'm like, hey man, good for you. I'm glad that you've done that style of due diligence, and he's just more or less an investor, Sharif. Doesn't get too heavy into those things, but had some solid picks on that one. All right, VVPR deal with Ripple as well, trying to become the treasury company for XRP. What is XRP up to? XRP. Let's see what that is up to on the day. Yeah, so slightly red. It hasn't traded anything. And I mean, from a liquidity standpoint, you can obviously see that we're running into issues, and it's more liquid in the post-market compared to what it's been trading on the intraday. So it doesn't seem like Wall Street loves it just yet, but it may take some while. It may take a while. Anything can happen, right? XRP is like, hey, we're going to start putting some stable coins on that blockchain. The transaction processing is extremely lightning fast. You can do a lot of transactions quick, and who knows what can happen with XRP. Sure.
All right, we're doing it live on BTAI. We took 42, scalped up all the way to 60s. We're still holding pieces over here, and I've moved up my dip trade. So initially, I had my dip trade for the 10 EMA at around the low 30s, but I perceive the resistance level, now support level, to be 440. So I'm looking at front running it by putting another dip trade add here at 43s. It's getting buying here at 50, so it's not exactly breaking down below it. Now, what's my move? So say I get filled at 43, and then it continues south. Where do I get out? So I'm going to insist that I get out on the break of the 10 EMA, because BTAI's very, very much respected the 10 EMA for the exception of one candle and one candle only. So far, it was a 10:25 a.m. candle. This one right here, where it wicked all the way down, probably stopped everybody out, and then rocketed back up to make another high. Okay, so BTAI certainly in focus for me, and I'm looking to add. So I've got 42s, and now I'm actually waiting for 43s. The high of the day is 59, so we weren't able to get that 60 clearance. So I guess I lied there. I took 59s instead of 60s. So that's what I'm watching now. Up to 57 again we go. There's been selling in the high 50s, and as I see it on the 5-second chart anyway, it's been lower highs on the 5 seconds. So there's that 59, and then over here it's 58, and now it's 57. We need to be on the lookout for this because I feel like that's been my weakness lately, not kind of knowing when the sellers are starting to take control of the name. But here we go. We're breaking out. There's 60 again, and there's a huge seller at 60 that we can't shake for the moment. So we did technically make another higher high there and canceled the lower highs that we had been putting in that I just showed you on the 5. So I'll keep my patience here, looking for that continuation. I'm waiting above 60. I'm waiting at 63s. Let's see if we get that continuation, and if we do, what the situation is going to be. I see a super chat, and I'm so sorry I didn't get to it. By Bayard, none? All right, man, I don't even know, okay? But anyway, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. He wants us to look at Palantir, so I'll have a look at that for you right now as I watch a new high day into BTAI, 63s, there it is, and there it is now, it's 68s now. Okay, so here we go. We're going to set up at 69 next. So the high of the day now is technically 68. So I'm going to pack my patience, see if we can clear that level. While I do that, let me have a look at Palantir. Palantir is just a fantastic name. Look at that bull flag today, generally holding the volume weighted average price, some wicks below it. Your question is, can I get your opinion on Palantir choppy at the top? Looks like it could be a bull flag or a small head and shoulders. I would say, you know, the fact that you're just defending VWAP over and over generally, I mean, there was this one candle that did close below VWAP at that level, but generally, this is more of a bull flag. Does it mean that you get a continuation to a second bull flag? No. But it just means that the buyers are basically using generally the price of the volume weighted average price to buy this up. And we've talked about this before on the show. Why does that happen? Well, a lot of the traders that work at hedge funds, sovereign wealth funds, pension funds, their manager, the managing director, for example, will go up to them and be like, hey, Joe, pick me up, 100,000 shares of, I don't know, VVPR.
No problem.
And so then Joe, how he gets adjudged by his managing director on whether he did a good job or a bad job is how well or how close his average price is to the volume weighted average price at the end of the day. So what these bigger traders are constantly doing is they're basically positioning relative to the volume weighted average price. So if the price comes into VWAP, they're picking it up, or if they're trying to sell it, they're doing the opposite. That's why VWAP always ends up being an important level, especially for these bigger names. So whether or not you end up holding above VWAP or whether or not you get a second bull flag, that's really undecided at the moment. But what I would be basing my trades on is this range that's established. I'd be picking it up at the lower end of the range, selling it at the higher end, holding a piece for the dream always to see if you can kind of get that bigger move higher end and take a bigger win. We're going to go to crypto with Adair.
I want to mention as well here, apparently the U.S. government, I'm seeing this report there from Wall Street Journal, U.S. government aiming to IPO Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac later this year. Apparently they could see 5 to 15% of their stocks sold in this IPO. Again, that's reported by Wall Street Journal. Keep an eye here on FNMA. We're going to do for this crypto segment, take a look at some weekly charts for crypto. Here's BTC, continued uptrend on the weekly, really good look, even though we did have a bit of a topping tail. This would go back to the week of July 14th, 2025, when we made that new all-time high around $123,000. Of course, one of the biggest news in the crypto space this week was Donald Trump yesterday signing the executive order that could potentially make way for allowing alternative assets, including crypto, to be added into 401k plans. Great look for the space. And it was a good look for crypto when this news was confirmed yesterday. It was also, crypto was pretty strong all day yesterday, so the lead up was also pretty good. Solana on the weekly chart, also in a bit of an uptrend from this low. This is going back to basically Liberation Day, a week after, April 7th. Nice uptrend for this one in the weekly chart. Ethereum actually looking more like a bull flag on the weekly. In fact, we actually broke out last week's high, so this is a great look. Clear overhead resistance at 4,100, and then again here at 4,900. Let's see if ETH can crack that resistance levels on the weekly chart. We'll take a look here at Cardano as well. ADA, USD. How's that weekly chart doing? This is a little bit slower to launch, especially compared to some of the ones we just looked at. Bit of a rounded bottom. You could also argue a double bottom here at that 50-cent level. Let's see if we're able to take up this most recent resistance and continue to climb. That's our weekly crypto chart look here for our crypto segment as we send you back to the Bash Brothers.
We added into BTAI right at the level that I spoke about. It dips down. We add right at that 440 area, and we scalp all the way back up into 54s. We're now waiting at 56s. Let's see if BTAI's got the juice to head back up. Just added basically the same amount of shares, and this is basically going to be a very, very specific trade. It loses 440, the trade is over, and we will risk 3 pennies. I don't know what the hell is wrong with the position board today. It keeps going out every 2 seconds. And there it is. We take that level out again. Now we're going to set up at 59s. Let's see if we can get more into 59. While I do that, I'm going to set up my stop below 440. So we're going to set that up right there, and we'll give it a little bit of room. See, now showing me 57s, Joseph. Let's see if we can kind of weasel up a couple of more shekels into 59. I'm still waiting at 69 as well for that original order that never filled. That's because of the high of the day, 68. So love this ad, love the entry on the breakout, love the ad. Now let's see if we can make a new high a day, Joey.
Absolutely, guys. All right, so this is working out pretty good for us right now. So we still want to be really patient. If we start to curl over, we do have a downtrend that we need to crack, right? So there's our wedge that we're starting to form, and what I was referring to earlier. You can see it a little bit better on the 3-minute time frame. So as long as we continue to chop in this range, then I think we have a good chance to break out. Now, as for Rusty mentioning, hey, it's going to be difficult for Ether to hold that previous high if Bitcoin doesn't want to participate, and right now that seems to be the case. Now, I will note that comparing the two, you can see that we're holding the support level way significantly better than what you can see here on Bitcoin. If it turns around, then I think we have a good opportunity to add some more into this position. If not, I'm just going to get stopped out on a minuscule size, essentially. As the market's starting to come back in, you can see the Qs are now south of the volume weighted average price. The SPY is, and then also Apple and Google just hovering around its highs. So it's weird. I'm curious. We must go through some of the other big names to see what we got going on and why the Qs seem relatively weak. That's not it. And then I'm going to guess that Microsoft might be the weaker name, and here it is, guys. So yeah, you can see Microsoft continuing its move to the downside. Now let's take a look at it from a daily standpoint. So bang, there it goes. You get that massive gap up after the earnings report, and then sure enough, that gap is almost completely filled. If it has not, soft gap fill, lower end of the candle, then that's a hard gap. But that would also put us on the backside of this trend. So watch out for potential move to the downside south of that trend. Let's break this. Let's zoom out here and see what we got. Why do I always have to do that? Okay, so there it is. It's a big time move, right? So when we see the likes of Meta, when it put on that 13-day winning streak, what came after that? It continuously dropped around 15-20%. Now, is that going to be the case here in Microsoft? I don't think so, but just keep an eye out on anything south of this trend line there, Sharif.
All right, let's look at PAPL for Casey. I looked at this one, Casey, but I guess maybe you weren't around. Let's look at it again. So I did take a trade on this one, Casey, but I got to let you know I totally broke my rules. Getting out of this, we're very positive on it, but I don't know. It's probably just lucky, because this one, I was basing my entries off the volume weighted average price, and this one's had no respect for VWAP, like almost none. It looks like VWAP here, which is the white line on my chart here, Casey. It looks like the line of best fit, the line that kind of just goes through the middle of the price action rather than acting as support and resistance. So I don't feel like I have a right read on this. Now, when you look at it a little bit further, you can say, well, look, it's making higher lows. Sure, absolutely, it is. But the issue with that is it's got these outsized moves, both higher and lower. And so, you know, how do you trade that without getting wicked in and wicked out? Now, I just have to concentrate for a second, because BTAI is coming right back into my entry. So we got the fill at 60 there, but it's coming right back into 48. Now, as you know, I've moved up my stop to the break of 40. So we'll risk 4 pennies on the remaining amount. And we only have 2 more outs. Now, going back to PAPL, Casey, so, you know, you can definitely base the trades off the higher lows for what could be, you know, a 5.5 break, an aggressive 5.5 break. But, you know, if you were to base it on this, for example, if you were to get in at 4 2/3, right there at 463, where that trend line is, you literally have to give it all the way down to 4 1/4. So if you're going to do that with size, you're going to get in some trouble. I feel like I don't have a read on this one, Casey, which is why I'm not consistently trading it, but it does have an aggressive move up, 78%, looking to even take out more at the moment, especially if we can get above that 5.5, we could real easy gap up. My read on it is not as as accurate as I need it to be in order to kind of, just really trade it with confidence. So I'm going to steer clear of that one, and we'll keep an eye on others. And there are others, believe me. The one that I'm in right now, BTAI, is a good one. VVPR continues to go. VVPR just got into the high of the day at 540. It's up 40%. It's a fantastic look. And it's been respectful of the 10 EMA on the 5. A predictable area because it keeps doing it. So, I mean, why chase the harder trade on PAPL? Even, obviously, it gives you more potential for an explosive move upside than VVPR is. But VVPR, you can manage risk a lot better on it. And you could substantially size in, and take lesser of a move, but with more size and make equal amounts of money. So I think I'm going to load up VVPR on the trading screen. Look what PAPL just did as I was speaking about it, Casey. Look at this. I mean, it wicks from, it's trending at $5, drops all the way down to $4.38, and then is bought back up immediately. And it's done that over and over and over. Yeah, I want nothing to do with this one. It's too risky. And there's on the day where I don't really need to, chase this one, Joey, because there's others, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my look.
Absolutely. So there it goes, guys. Support level breached here on ETHA. So we're out of that one. Take a small loss on that. That's okay. Small potatoes, small potatoes. But Bitcoin is just weak, and I'm trying to pull up the daily to be like, what is this thing doing? Like, get your act together here, please and thank you. But I mean, it's not too bad. Just an inside day. We won't complain about that. Knocking on the door of this resistance level. So another rejection of that. So keep an eye out on this. I didn't see anything definitive that we were going to turn around from this downtrend. So I wouldn't be surprised if this just was a pullback into a resistance zone, and then maybe we go and breach some of this lows. And you want to see it hold this level right there. But that volume and the velocity that broke that support level, on ETH, you don't want to get involved in that, all right? So, yeah, you just want to stay away from it now, because that just tells me, hey, there's not going to be any form of continuation just yet, considering now we've given up the majority of the move that we've experienced here in the morning. So we'll go, what is it? So we go one for one, 2 for 1. Yeah, so there we go. We go 2 for 3 on ETHA. So we'll keep an eye out on what's going on with it. If there is a 5-minute indecision print, maybe it just needed to absorb some more liquidity before it decided to make another move higher, all right? You should be watching BTC, ETH ratio, bunch of numbers, BTC to ATM, look for, okay, those are too many numbers for me to read right now and kind of comprehend there, Havana. DM me that stuff because I like it when you send me those messages. But as for everything else, guys, Apple is still continuously strong. There you go, Pathik, 225 was in the works. I didn't think that we were going to get that, to be honest with you. And I know Katina Man was talking about this not too long ago. It's not going to take much for this to get going. So, bang, Apple, really, really on the move. Are we out of that consolidation? Absolutely. Wow, look at that breach of the resistance of 213.
China story.
Boom, yeah, it's the China story, yeah. So, and there you go. We just add more fuel to the fire once they get their AI act together. So Apple on the war path to the top side. And I mean, 260 is that previous all-time high. What's our percentage metric from that specific level? That's going to be around 13% there, Sharif.
Yes, sir. Okay, now I'm looking to set up a dip trade here on VVPR. So we got a topping tail candle in the 45s, and now we're dropping down a little bit into the 20 penny-ish area. Here's 25s. So the 10 EMA is 18 or 19 on my chart, okay? So that's what I'm looking at right now. I'm thinking about maybe getting in a little bit here. That way I can dollar cost average if it is to drop. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to start off with a little one over here. Let's get in a smaller position. So we'll get in at, what do we got? We got 29s on that bad boy. Let's go ahead and set up, though. We want to set up at the 10 EMA, so I will insist on 18s. And it's dropping down as I expected. So let's go ahead and set up at 18s on VVPR and see what we get, and we will not get upset. Let's set up at 33s for a beak wetter in case, it doesn't fill us and it ends up making a move back up. It's up 36% and change, 545 high, as I mentioned, but definitely looking for a bigger position. So you never really want the stock to pull against you because you never really know if it's going to catch a bid again, but I want to get a bit more, right? Especially if it's got a gnarly looking chart pattern like this. And there it is, up into 31s, not crossing though. And yeah, not much to report on at the moment. Let's go back to BTAI. This is back into my area now. If it doesn't hold 40, it's the end of the story. And I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but legitimately that's kind of how I feel. And there's VVPR taking out tops again. Let's go ahead and set up now. We got 30, 33s there, so let's set up at 36s on that one. Keeping an eye on BTA, nothing doing there. But look at PAPL. This hot garbage, this stock is. Look at it, breaking down again. No respect for anything. Piece of crap. And I'm positive on it. Like it's my biggest one on the day, but it just, you know what I mean? Like
it's just being,
it's not respectful, Joseph.
It's not respectful. I mean? We don't like it.
It's a little
respect us. Respect us.
All right. So that's what I've got at the moment. Let's see if we can get some another move here into the highs on VVPR. No, not yet. Not yet. Okay, so we'll continue to wait on that one as it zigs and zags at these levels. But that's all I got. Oh, I wanted to mention CAPR as well. Totally forgot to mention that one. That one just got pulled into VWAP. So let's CAPR. Let's load that one up super quick. I got it on my side chart here. There we go. So now VWAP is 888s. Literally, 888s. So do we pick this up here or what? What do you guys think? Are you guys picking up CAPR? I mean, it's only up 10 2/3. It's not the biggest move on the day. Let me know if CAPR tickles your fantasy. Fancy? Fantasy? Fancy. I didn't mean to say that. And if you guys are going to punch in there, let me know what you guys think about CAPR, Joey.
All right, there. Market coming back in. Bitcoin's why do you guys suck? Why? You don't even know what that's from. Ramin, it's from the movie with Johnny Depp and Blow. Blow. That was a very good movie, but there it is. Bitcoin breaking through some key support levels, helping drag Ethereum down. It sucks to suck sometimes, so just keep that in mind. I was not expecting this, considering that I guess we gapped down, we filled that gap, and then now we're continuing that move to the southeast. So just keep that in mind, that guys, Bitcoin weak. I don't know if we're going to turn around. This volume on ETHA,
okay,
it's too vast in order for me to get involved into it again. Yeah, it's very, very big, brother.
Nice. Más grande.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it muy grande or más grande?
Más grande, muy grande, very
They're
big.
both the same
more
thing?
big. Más is more big. Muy is very big. Muy grande, if I'm right, for all my Spanish-speaking individuals in there. But yeah, so there's that. Keep an eye on that, but I think I'm going to kind of abandon that thesis for the day. We'll accept what we've got and then maybe look for another continuation sometime next week, considering that it is Friday. Q's relatively weak. Google's still holding up strong. Glad Obi got out at that short. I seen him, he was shorting that one here. I'm not going to call this a head and shoulders or anything, but as soon as you breach the volume weighted average price, it's just boom to the downside. Are we going to look for some continuation in strength? That's the objective, right? So at the end of the day, if we start forming some indecision prints around the lows, then I think we'll be okay. We'll keep an eye on the tape as well to see if we have further confirmation, okay? So there's one thing. So as I'm just kind of rambling on here and talking about certain specific technical analysis, one thing that I will note, could this be exhaustive volume? The thing is, it just closed as a genuine bearish print. So in order for me to see it turn around, I want to see some more indecision, and then an equally as big or just slightly as big of a volume print to the top side, all right? So we can golf form a tweezer, the tweezer handle kind of a pattern, and then maybe we can continue through the volume weighted average price. But you can see as soon as we break through the volume weighted average price, we're out of that trade. So yeah, let's go over some other things here momentarily, see what we got going on from a volume standpoint. There wasn't much on my scanner this morning, so I was looking at SoundHound and Ether. Those were my primary names there. TTD was okay to the downside, I believe. Let's take a look. Downside, DDD. Yep, so and it's still continuing that move lower, but Robinhood has 23.7 million shares. Where's the market cap? $101 billion now, with a high of around 117 on the session. But SoundHound has 142 million shares traded on the day, Sharif.
Okay, I like it. All right, Joey, we're in VVPR. I added to the position, and here we go again. We're showing 37s now, 39s. Here's 40. 41s, I'm actually waiting at 41s. Oh, come on, B word. So yeah, we don't get the fill. It ends up rejecting that area. Let me cancel one of these actually. And let's go ahead and set up at 41s again. Let's see if we can get that continuity, but it is still putting in higher highs and higher lows. So I did add it to the position because it kept putting in candles with higher lows, full disclosure. So that's kind of why I did that. Let's set up at 40 actually, since we know there's a seller now at 41. And I also want to load my chart on the top screen here for 5 seconds. Oh, wow, it just took a bit of a nosedive there on the 5-second chart. Keep an eye out on that. But CAPR finding support here at the volume weighted average price. I just want to see exactly what that VWAP price is. It's 888s. All right, I'm getting in here. No, it's not even letting me in now, Joey. As soon as I came to punch, it was like, no. All right, there we go. So now we'll set up below 888. So let's go ahead and set up like that. And we'll give this one about 7 penny spread or so. Where are we in? We're at 98. So let's set up at 5s. Oops. Let's set up at 5s over here, and then we'll also set up at 12s. See what we can get in there. All right, let's go back to VVPR. All right, so this one is holding at the $0.25. There does seem to be a buyer over and over at the $0.25. 525 is what I'm talking about, and that's been the case for a while. Were 3 attempts to break that 525 area. Looks like it got defended well, but there's this equally staunch seller at 40. So we're kind of caught in a bit of a range right now on VVPR between that 525 area and that 540, so about a 15 penny range. Let's see if we can continue to put in higher lows, because I'm still seeing higher lows on the candles, but there's a lot of upper wicks now as we approach that $0.50. So that's what I'm cautious about at the moment. Not much else for me to talk about here, Joey. Just got these ones. Oh, I want to mention actually EBS, another one that's pulling into the volume weighted average price. Not a big mover on the day, about 8% and change, maybe a little bit less, coming into 893. It's generally held the level above VWAP. There have been buyers in the 90s, high 80s. It is in the high 80s right now, low 90s. So this could be an interesting pickup area. If you guys are interested, wanted to mention that one. And then, yeah, that's basically it. We'll keep tabs on that. Yannick saying SMX. Let's have a look at SMX for Yannick. See what's up with that one. Oh, great call out, Yannick, my man. That's what I want to see. That's the kind of stuff I want to see, man. There you go. All right, Yannick, man, that's, I think, your best call out yet. Let's put SMX on this bad boy, but we got to put in, where's my stop, first and foremost, with VVPR? Let me just make sure that that's all kosher, because it's coming back down. It's losing that $0.25. I'm going to give it the low 20s. That's what I'll do there, just so that we can manage risk, and then we'll give it all the way down to here. There we go, stop in place. But now let's put SMX up on this side chart over here. We'll take off BMNR, and I think it's on the NQ, and I am right. Good look on this one, man. SMX breaking out as we speak. This one's on the warpath to the high side, bull flagging here. This is the second bull flag. So I perceive the 930 pop, consolidation, that's bull flag number 1, boom. Bull flag number 2 above that 620, 625 area, and we're already $1 above it. So this is the one. Like Obi, I always call him Obi. He is the one Kenobi. Well, this is the one stock on the day for the moment. 747 high. Let's see if it's got more juice over here. Here comes 47s, 45 seller, a heavy 45 seller at this level. So there it goes, rejects again. So that $0.50 acting a little staunchy. Now, we do have 3 candles in a row with higher lows on the 5. So what we could realistically do, maybe wait for a 7 dip. Now, you might not get the 7 dip. I'm just going to wait at 707, random area, just to defend that $7 level. And if I get the fill there, fantastic. If I don't, it's okay. That's what I'm looking at now, Joey. So we're going to set up on SMX for a dip trade over here into $7, coming into 7.25. Let's see if it's got some weakness to the downside to allow us to get filled at that 707 area. Seems like there is a buyer. No, a buyer at the $0.25, and then right up back into near the highs we go. 47 high. We're showing 43s. So good strength on this one, Joey. Let's see what we got.
Yeah, that's a big time. That's a nice move there. Yeah, the small caps just doing their thing for sure today. So yeah, this is what we're experiencing there. Soundhound. I don't know about a long right now, guys. Just considering how this downtrend is still intact. Well, I mean, we've been moving higher, but you can just see how you're consolidating around the volume-weighted average price. This could be a breath, and then obviously keep an eye on the volume as well. You can see it's starting to stair-step down, especially when you're seeing these green candles close, all right? So just keep that in mind. We do have a couple primary trends here, so that's still holding up relatively decently. So now if you break through that, then I think you have the ability to continue to the south side, but a lot of key resistance and support levels, but Soundhound not too bad there, guys. So just basic TA stuff. ETHD, what's that one? Let's take a look at ETHD. ETHD. IPO shares trust. I'm not familiar with this. I don't know. PRSA shares trust, ultra shares, Ether ETF. Oh, okay. So why isn't it moving with the actual underlying asset. Curious as to what that is. Daily, yeah, I don't know if you want to get involved in this. I don't know exactly what this is, so I'll have to do a little bit of digging. Maybe it's a short call thing or something along those lines, covered call, ETF maybe, I don't know. Yeah, just let me know. Ultra short, ultra short, okay, thank you. Yeah, so that's why it's continuing to move lower. Ultra short, so as Ethereum moves 1% higher, that will move 2% lower, all right? So if you're gonna look for the short on Ether, that's a vehicle that you can use. Thank you for pointing that out. So that will probably eventually be nothing until they reverse split. So yeah, okay, this is what I was gonna do here as well. Let's take a look at some of the top performing sectors on the day. Technology, up about 0.7, financials up 0.6, healthcare sitting in that show place, up about 0.5%. The two red on the day, the third last is going to be the industrials, up about 1/5, and then utilities down about 0.01%, real estate down about 1/3 there. So yeah, that's what we got going on. For me personally, I don't think there's going to be an additional long just yet on Ether. You can see that there's a support level. We are now running into that. So I'm going to be looking for it to curl over and then any forms of indecision. Is this stopping volume? I don't think so, just because of how this candle closed. So that's what I got my eyes on. Apple is now north of 225, running into 225.5, north of that even, guys. So this thing is just absolutely going parabolic, and this is exactly what we want to see. We were swinging this for some time, but then it didn't work out. But now, as you're through some key support or resistance zones, I think you're going to see a continuation, maybe even a retest, and then a move higher. But I highly doubt that it even comes close to that resistance, now acting as support line there, Sharif.
All right, man. This one's really taken off on me. I tried to chase it. I tried to punch in at the $0.50. It's not letting me in. It's really going, though. SMX is really going. If you're into the small caps, this is the one, all right? I tried to get into it. There goes 8. It's 8.14 now. It's got a lot of juice behind it. It's having a little bit of trouble with 8. You can always work into the position, guys. You don't have to punch in all the big shares all at the same time. Seller at 10. So we'll get in a little bit over here, and we'll see if we can get something. Where's the next support level? So the prior candle low goes to 7.5. So you should be willing at least a dollar cost average into 7.5. Otherwise, this might not be the one for you. So I'm going to set up mine at 7 3/4. Let's see if we can get something in and around there. And then we'll look to take that continuation north. So 8.10s on at the moment on SMX. Very strong, very parabolic nature. There we go, back up into 8s, but it's still technically a lower high than the prior area. It's 8.14 right now. That's a prior area high. So let's load this up on the 5-second chart. Here we go, back up into 2s, but we're getting some lower highs. An 8.14 high. We're getting some lower highs off that 8.14. The support level there I'm seeing is at 750. Certainly a support level at 750 there. There could also be a support level at 780s. There was a lot of rejections into 780s earlier, and then you actually had a hammer candle or a doji candle that actually bounced off that level and then popped back into the 80s. So it looks like as if there is aggressive selling here at the $8 area. So we'll see if we can kind of get through that area or get the 777 ad that we're waiting for there. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at my 5-second chart, looking for continuation on this one, starting with a smaller position because we're punching in at highs. You know, we're going to punch your full position in at highs. At least I don't. Let's see, there we go. Now we got the fill, so we got 93s on now. Let's set up some beak wetters, see if we can get a nice little scalp into that area. And I'm going to set up as well in the 80s, Joey. So let's see what this one's got. It's now got a seller here at 90s. There we go. Packing up into the 95 area. 96 seller now. Staunchy little bugger. Unable. There we go. 97 as I saw momentarily. But that $8 area acting as a level of resistance now prior to... Yeah, we didn't clear it far enough, I think, to be able to use it as a level of support. So we'll see exactly what we get there, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, NVDA looking pretty good here, guys. Heading towards that high of the day, 183.5. We went over the options chain on this yesterday. We'll view it one more time, just because there is a concentration of open interest through that 185 strike. Let's pull that up. And the market hasn't really priced in any of the earnings moves yet, because the at-the-money IV is still, wow. The at-the-money IV is still relatively low. So 185. Okay, things. Oh no, that's the wrong cycle. Let's go to today's cycle, and I suspect that some of these contracts are going to be rolled, right? So that was a little larger. That was 150 yesterday, and then here we go at that 185 strike, 122,000. So I think that might have grown by 11,000 contracts. So if NVDA closes below, then I think they'll be okay. But if not, watch out for the rollover and these strikes leading into the option into the earnings report. All right, and then you have 200 as well. Hasn't been built in just yet, but keep an eye on those 3 strikes, and I'm sure enough you'll be able to base a trade off of that. But now we're heading off to Adara and then Neil's lesson of the day.
This market is trying to go higher. This is a really clean bounce for the Nasdaq off that 572 level. S&P 500 has traded pretty similarly to the Nasdaq thus far, and this one continuing here. But for the SPY, they bounced up the key, I guess, $5 level here, 635. One of the biggest intraday news catalysts, and really the only one of any kind of note that I saw, was FNMA, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, on watch here after the Wall Street Journal reported that the Trump administration is trying to have these do an IPO later this year. Keep an eye on both of these. As you can see here, FNMA really popped when this news started circulating. A couple different earnings names on watch. A lot of these earnings names are these smaller, beloved retail names. One of them is MP Materials. This actually gapped up, but unfortunately sold off at the open and is languishing a bit here. SoundHound, though, bouncing pretty nicely here off of that $13.43 level. Pretty solid report for SoundHound. If you caught it with us yesterday during the market recap show, it came out a little bit later than expected, but the market clearly liking it. Make sure to join us here every single day. If you like infographic and fun market-related content, join me on X at TTV Research. Currently working on an infographic showing the stock performances under all of its CEOs since its IPO. And one of the CEOs served 3 separate terms. So all of that will be covered. Hopefully they'll be out by the end of the day. But in the meantime, you know what's happening right now is Neil and his lesson of the day. So without further ado, Neil, give us that lesson.
We'll do our best here at Dara. Lesson of the day is brought to you by all of these crazy breakouts that are happening in the market. For every Apple breakout and Palantir every single day, and Alphabet making a big break as well. There you go, Alphabet breaking out that 198 level. There's so many opportunities. We're in a bull market, especially for things like breakouts. But there's another side to this coin. And that just turns out to be, if breakouts are working in a general sense, and you're getting these open trades where it's just following through and going ham. Oh, Tesla is another example right here, where it just goes ham off of the open. You basically set it and forget it. The more that works, the more people there are taking breakouts. So the other side of that coin is, as strong as the higher percentage of these plays are following through and going, the ones that don't become much more dangerous. So what you end up in a situation where it's great that the overall strategy is working, but the downside risk of the ones that don't follow through becomes exacerbated. And so that you run yourself in an environment where a lot of times you'll look at a clean breakout trade because it's a big level, and it's like, oh, if it pulls back into that level, I want to go long again. I mean, example, like Google is an example that never comes back in. But a lot of times in a trend break like this, you're like resistance, goes into support, and then we go into the long, something along those lines. But what can happen to you in an environment where so many of these are working on a regular basis and they become a little bit more crowded because it's been free money, is kind of like that IPO trade, where when the one doesn't work, it's a flush zone. And I'm glad I did not bid back into Rocket Lab, obviously, but if you get a curl or a turn on a breakout these days at the open, it's almost like that's about to be the best short you've ever seen. And it doesn't always play out this way. Rocket Labs is sort of an extreme example of this. It can work its way in other regards, but it's that simple notion that because it's a popular trade, and anytime there's any kind of a significant level attempting to break out, whether it's Figma tries to break 81, 82, you can take any one of those even dollars, or it could just be it's trying to break out this prior high. You're like, yeah, but there's like $3, $4, $5 worth of upside. When it reverses, that trend reversal can be really, really nasty. And there's one trade I've been saying over and over again that I do because it's a trend down, but that I think works in this case. So for weeks, I've been sort of saying, if Intel tries to break out at the open or in the pre-market and fails, then you short it underneath VWAP. I think it failed to work once in the last, I don't know, like month or something like that, whatever it might be, but it just trends and you short it for the rest of the day. But an example here with FIG, once it fails that break at the open and comes back underneath, it's not necessarily clean at the volume weighted average price here, but if you just short it under VWAP for the rest of the day, you've got yourself some good trades. Because you've got the longs that are just working themselves out on every single dip there. And the ones that average into the dip because they don't get out of their breakout trades. They just think it's a long and they buy the dip in until support. There are traders who look at breakout trades as I'm taking a breakout at the open and I'm giving it to the prior low on a much higher time frame, expecting it to be a huge move. Some of those, when they do that and it doesn't look good, they start thinking about taking some out there in the way to VWAP when it suddenly trend down. So you get that VWAP continuation play. And what's good about this trade is one of the reasons you can start to like it more or take it more is when the breakouts are working better. So then you all of a sudden have a situation where you love your breakout trades, you're taking a few more of them, but then the ones that do that full reverse, you have yourself a flip side trade that you can now preference a short trade on the ones that don't go, like a Rocket Labs or like a Figma. And then you can play both sides. You can not marry yourself to the notion that breakout trade's a long forever, and you can move on to the next opportunity. So the better these breakouts work, the more crowded they get, the nastier the reversals can be, and therefore you want to have something loaded up, if you want to short, for some easier type short trades based on a stock you might have already be looking at because you were looking at the breakout. There's your lesson of the day. And by the way, the tacos were pretty good.
All right, we're looking at SMX right now. This one's on a breakout. We've got 50s on at the moment. Best print we've got is the $quarter. It's zigging and, the 15 penny area. It's zigging and zagging a little bit above 8, a little bit below. It has a higher low relative to the prior candle. The prior candle's at 745. Both those candles are above the volume weighted average price, but it really can't seem to stay above that $8 level. Every time it wicks above 8, it moves above 8, it's a quick wick. We only have one candle that closed above 8, and it barely closed above 8, and the subsequent candle lost it. I'm talking about the 5-minute candle prior to this one. So I don't want to take it out right now. I will allow it to come down into my break even. I have 51, so I literally have it on the 50 penny area, which is good because that gives me the opportunity to give it a little bit below. So we're going to give it to 45s, and I only have one out left. So this one, it doesn't really matter to me if I get stopped out. I'd rather get that print at 50s, which technically 48. That's the red line you see on your screen there. It did go all the way up, I believe, into 36, but it barely spent any time there. So unless you had a resting order or you were using hotkeys, you probably didn't get the fill. Or if you did, good on you. So that's what I'm looking at right now. SMX up 60%, the best looking small cap gapper that I can see at the moment anyway. And anything below the $0.50 gets me out of the trade, which is okay with me because VWAP is, I think, like maybe 10 pennies below that. So I don't feel like giving it to VWAP either. Now, BTAI is making another move back up. This is one that we were involved in earlier. I'm going to get back in here because it's kind of curling up off the 20. Let's set up some beak wetters initially in front of that whole dollar, and then we'll wait, the $0.50, and then we'll actually wait a little bit above the $0.50. So BTAI, back in focus, looking for a print. What do we have on? 45s. I'm waiting at 48s. There it is. We'll take the print. Now we're waiting at 50s. So let's see if we can weasel on up there or what the situation is. We also have CAPR on. I've taken a bunch of prints out on this. I'm looking for higher lows and higher highs. We get a higher low, but we don't get that higher high. So CAPR ends up bouncing off that volume weighted average price, a predictable level, but you don't get that continuation. So when you don't get that continuation, what it ends up being, possibly, of course, is that lower high with that same area low, which is just a prescription for a flat bottom break. So be on the lookout for that, and then we'll get stopped out of the remaining amount over here, as I see on my SMX trade. If I can find it here, Joey, I don't know where it went. It's over here. Show yourself, yeah. So we end up getting stopped out with the last remaining amount there, and I'm absolutely fine with that. I'm very happy with how I traded this one, unlike PAPL, but we'll look to set up if VWAP ends up coming in as a level of support. Now, I want to bring to your attention that SMX is doing that anomalous look that we've talked about before, where the volume weighted average price is actually higher on the 5-minute chart than the 10 EMA. That typically isn't the case. So, if you're basing your trades off VWAP, you need to be alive to that fact, because what ends up happening sometimes is the algo that's trading us, or whoever is not basing their support and resistance levels off VWAP, but rather the 10 EMA. And it just so happened that the price action was so aggressive that VWAP actually moved up higher on the price than the 10 EMA. So let's watch now and see what this one does. Does it come down into 7 and hold? Because in fact, the 10 EMA is right at 7, so you get that $7 psychological area hold dollar support, and possibly the 10 EMA. So it's at it right now. Does it find support? There's a fight, look at this, between buyers and sellers. I'm not the only one looking at that 10 EMA, so it's funny how it's holding up at that area. Does it hold up though? Keep an eye on SMX. That's a big move down off that 8 1/3 all the way back down to 7, Joey. So aggressive price movement, no doubt. On this bad boy.
Yes, sir. Did you see your boy Oscar De La Hoya coming out?
What happened?
He's coming out of retirement there.
To fight who?
Virgil Ortiz. The worst idea probably you could ever do. I don't know why.
Is he allowed to fight in the big leagues with fake abs?
Maybe.
Oh.
You got to ask him. Ask him if he's going to bring those leopard print Speedos, too.
I just want to know, like, who did those fake abs for him, bro? Because they look obvious and ugly.
You think you got it done in Mexico?
I don't know where the hell he got it done.
I hope he didn't get it done anywhere
hideous.
around there. Yeah. I don't know why he did. But hey, man, I was going to say something, but I'm not going to. But at the end of the day, let's go, Oscar. Glad that you get back into things. Anyways, ETHA, we're back
in. Good fight against Floyd, though. You got to give him credit for that, because he gave Floyd a bit of a fight.
Yeah, he gave it for sure. So did Sugar Shane.
Yeah,
Sugar
that
Shane.
was the closest fight.
Yeah.
Sugar Shane hurt him twice. Twice.
But do you remember that part where Sugar hurt him and then Floyd
tied him up?
You know what he said to him?
What'd he say?
You're gonna have to kill me.
Floyd said that to him? I believe that. Floyd's an animal, bro.
He's the best, man.
Absolutely.
Guy runs home from the club. Savage. Heading to class, hope you smash those gains while I smash the books. All right, nice, brother. Have fun, Justin, BN. Let's go, Obi. Yeah. Oh, maybe that's not the good. Let's go.
Dominate that trade, Ob?
Well, it dominated me for a while.
It dominated him, and then he got back.
Then he got back on top. That's all that matters.
And when I see the backside, I gotta get back.
When he sees the backside, he's gonna get back on top. Oh my God, I
Great.
can't believe I'm.
Yeah, you're gonna repeat what he said. That's dangerous.
Hilarious.
Thanks for another great week, fellas. Thank you, Rusty Dutch. Much appreciated, my friend, for that $10 super chat. Much love. We will write that up in here. Much love. Dude, Joe. What's going on, Ricky Vargas? Yeah, I hope everything is good on your end, my friend. If you have any requests, just put it in the chat and we'll be sure to do over. I don't love this long here, guys. I just really want to continuously dabble to see if we can get the continuation. But you can see on the 5-minute, we are running into some issues. So continuous downtrend right here, multiple touches, and we just rejected. So again, I'm going so small, I'm willing to risk X amount of my gains on the day, so it's just like, why not, right? If we sit on the backside of this trend here, then I think we're gonna get rocking and rolling and go potentially test that high of the day. So I'm looking forward to see if that happens. But with Bitcoin deciding not to want to participate, then I think we might be in a little bit of trouble. So nothing right here says, signifies like, hey, Joe, we're ready to completely turn around. So for me, this is just a potential pullback maybe into the volume weighted average price, and then you can curl over or you just chop around for the day, because as I mentioned earlier, it is an inside day on BTC that we're experiencing. On Ethereum, we've cracked through the previous highs. And then now continue that trend. What we don't want, though, is this to close as an inverted hammer. If we close with any form of strength, that's going to be positive, but what we don't want is an inverted hammer right here, because that's going to justify or tell me that, hey, we're possibly in a false breakout, and that's not what I want to experience, especially from a swing standpoint, Tree.
All right, man. VVPR is back into highs, guys. So this one, I ended up losing the 10 a little bit. I probably traded a little bit too cautiously. VVPR is what I'm talking about. It's up almost 40%, 39.25. Just broke into that previous area high at 545. But it is rejecting that area again. So, yeah, I mean, it's still been respectful of the 10 EMA. What I'm looking at, guys, is a side chart over here, and it just keeps finding support there, at least on a closing basis. But really what kind of worried me about this was this lower high situation that it kept doing, right? So I was like, okay, look, it feels like the sellers are in control. We get that inverted hammer candle, topping tail into the high of the day. Each successive low is a little bit lower. Each successive high is a little bit lower as well. Then, you know, you get the higher lows as well, and there you go. So it ended up popping back up. So VVPR in play. SMX, though, I mean, the bamboozlement's real on this one. I mean, look, it breaks down below the 10 substantially, goes all the way down to 6 2/3, and now it's trying to work and close above the 10 EMA, which is literally at $7. So if SMX ends up closing as a hammer candle at $7 or in and around that area, and then the subsequent 5-minute candle makes a new high above this candle high, which is 715, I'm getting back into SMX. But for the moment, I'm going to stay clear. The only position I've got on is CAPR. We're about 10 pennies in the money on that. Nothing to write home about. I've only got one more out on CAPR, so it's not really anything I really want to aggressively DCA into. But this one is going against me a little bit. We're 5 pennies out of the money right now on BTAI. It's generally holding the 20. It seemed to find some support here at the 20. I don't mind adding. Okay, here we go. I have the opportunity to add now. And then it's going to be a super tight stop below this level. How many shares do I have? So I'll add right there. Let's see. So I will give it, oh, so it is going to lose 30. It does feel like it's going to lose this area. Let's give it to 29 super quick. Let me just throw in the order there. There we go. So we've got 41s. If it loses 30, that's the end of the story. It's going to have to hold this area. It's at the 20. If it rockets back up, fantastic. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We'll stop out below 29s. We've got 41s on. So let's go ahead and set up some profit takers here. I'll wait at 43s, see what we can get in and around that area. BTAI, it might not be setting up the way I like. We'll see. I'll give it a little bit of room through 29s. But it's the VVPR show. It seems like right back in to that 540 area now. You've got 4 candles in a row with higher lows. So it looks like the buyers may be back in control of this one, at least for the moment. We'll have to see how long that lasts for. A couple of other ones here that I said very little about, which is AXL and HL. They've both found support off the volume weighted average price a couple of times, 510, and then HL found support at VWAP 3 times, well, twice. This one came close. 1030 over here, then you got 1110, 1115 bounce, and then you got it again at 1145. So certainly VWAP is a level to keep your eye out on here for HL. In fact, it does even seem like it is putting in some higher lows. So that could be a good look here for that one. I think I got stopped out of my BTAI trade, which is okay. That will be my first loser on the day. Are we even negative on it? Let me have a look. No, still positive on it, ironically enough. So happy about that. And we'll look to do a little bit more damage, Joey, if this one sets up in the right way.
Absolutely.
It's
It's not VWAP, actually, Joey.
Okay, all right.
Hold on.
All
We might have more to say about this one, Joey.
All right.
So here's VWAP. We're at VWAP right now. Does it hold? 420. Where are you, 420 Bud Monster? Come on now. 420 is literally VWAP at this level. Do we get a hold of VWAP? We lost the 10. We lost the 20. And I don't want to base a trade off VWAP, even though I know it might be the right level this time, because BTAI has had very few interactions, if any, with VWAP until now. So what's my reason other than, just the fact that it's VWAP and there may be support at this level to pick it up? So I'm going to continue to watch here, Joy, and if that continuing to watch means I miss out on a trade, so be it. But CAPR is headed right back up into 15s. We got 98s. I'm setting up at 19s. Let's just take that ahead of the 10 penny area and see what we get there, man.
No capper.
There's my 420 Bud Monster. Get it, boy.
What's he up to?
I don't know. He said 420. It's Friday, so.
That's it. That's all you need to know. What are you doing this weekend?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Bud Monster. Oh, I thought we was laughing over there, but yeah, all right. Man, this market is crazy, crazy, crazy right now. You can see that the SPY just put in a new high of the day, so we just keeping an eye out on this one. Strong, strong trend, and essentially this was the thesis that we are looking for on Ethereum, right? So you can see throughout the opening drive, the first hour or so, you're just moving to the top side. You get that pullback, 5-minute indecision print. You then breach through the high, sell off, and then, yeah, you don't necessarily hold through the south side of VWAP, and then sure enough, you rebound and climb right back, and then the volume being sustained, now establishing a new high of the day. So that is really, really positive. I was not expecting that from the market today, that's for sure. We're not too far off those all times. But savvy Canadian traders looking to boost their exposure can now tap into the Nasdaq 100 and S&P 500 with Beta Pro 3X daily leverage ETFs featuring built-in FX hedging. This aims to amplify short-term market moves, minimizing the impact of currency swings. Whether you're feeling bullish or bearish, these ETFs built for active day traders ready to take on the market. Read the full risk disclosure in the prospectus at betapro.ca before investing. So there it is. That's Beta Pro, guys. Go check that one out. See if that is good for you. But SPY starting to, let's see what it is up to. Is it still holding that level? Yeah, and continuing in its strength. The Qs are a little bit weaker here because you can see that Google and some of the other names are starting to pull back, but not aggressively. It's almost borderline micro pullbacks, but this inverted hammer is something that you want to keep an eye out on, and then obviously this volume signature. So with the likes of SPY breaking this level and then continuing north of that, and the Qs struggling a little bit, you want to keep an eye on some of the mega names on what they're up to. If Microsoft is still weak, then you may not want to play the continuation of the break of that previous pivot, so just in case, right? Because you don't want to be going against it. But if it's at a low and decides that, hey, we're ready to bounce, then I think you'll be okay. And anything can happen. But you also want to keep an eye on VWAP because it is tracing the underlying to the downside relatively tight. And sure enough, that can say that, hey, sellers are in control of today's session. And you can also see that displayed throughout the price action. So, all right, let's get back to the real dog of the day, and that is going to be ETHA. As soon as a 5-minute sits on the backside of this trend, Sharif, it's ad mania because I think that we're going to get that continuation and that move to that previous high. The Nasdaq has done it, the SPY has done it, so why not ETH? Bitcoin is still weak, but if it catches a bounce, then I think we're going to be okay on that one, Sharif. So monitoring this one to 18, and we're hyper-focusing because we're going to get prepared to punch some shares.
All right, cool. All right, just punch in to Brendo here a message asking about the AC. Is this your type of weather?
It's, oh, you have no idea. I'm
in the room right now. You're happy.
I'm thriving.
Yeah. So this is good, right? That's amazing, bro. That's amazing. I envy you, Joseph. I'm not gonna lie. I do. I wish I could be happy in this type of.
This guy's
It's hot.
Sharif,
It's hot.
Heat,
That was
man. It's the heat.
The heat.
Can't handle the heat.
Yeah, I can't, man. I run hot all the time. All right, I think we're gonna weasel into BTAI. It's found a little bit of support here, and there's probably not that much damage that can be done. We're gonna set up at 418 for the break of that level, and we'll give it a little bit of room over here. So BTAI will set up with some beak wetters. There's likely gonna be some selling at 35. I kind of see that just based on the fact that we were holding above that level before. If we kind of get going, I anticipate some selling at 35. So we'll keep an eye out on that. But I'm still holding a piece on CAPR, looking for that 19 print. There seems to be a seller every time at 17s, despite the fact that there's really no size posted on the gateway. So it feels like a hidden seller there, keeping us down. He doesn't want us to win, Joey. So we'll see exactly what we can get with this one. Everyone's yelling about BMNR. All right, let's this guy, all he wants, you're like Katita, bro. As soon as you're in a position, all you want to talk about is that, wow, Joey, look at the breakout on BMNR.
Let's go, man.
Wow.
This is what I'm talking about. I got to pull it up now.
All right, go.
Right? So let's break this down. This is what I was saying to Sharif, and I was kind of just poking a jab at him, and he was like, I
don't understand why I have to lose for you to win. He sits down. The first thing he said to me today, he's like, "Look at this." All right, he's trying to build his position on ETH, and I'm happy for him. I think ETH is fantastic. But he's crapping on me for punching into American Eagle yesterday. Yeah. What the hell does that have to do with your ETH position?
It's like, no.
What the hell does that have to do with it?
Listen. This is what I'm getting at. My brother. It's all love. Listen.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
American Eagle. Tell me the primary reason why you're an American Eagle.
Because it's at a great technical level. Should we show everybody?
Yeah, show them.
Let's show
Please, build the case. I'm listening.
Oh, Joey, I showed it to you yesterday. You know exactly what we're talking about over here.
All right.
Joey, how many times do we have to come into this $10 area?
Go back to.
This is a weekly.
Okay,
dog.
That's fine. Go to where we're currently trading at right now.
Right here.
Zoom in right there for me, please, and thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so so from a technical standpoint, you like it, but what else from a fundamental standpoint do you like about it?
I can be direct with you about it, but I don't think it's appropriate for me to be as direct as I want to.
Okay, I see. All right.
Show.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right. Anyways, guys, let's break this down here on why we really like Ethereum and BitMine as well too. So all right, guys. So in 2025, obviously the Genius Act giving more regulatory clarity to obviously stablecoins, and in the crypto space, it's a green light for crypto. Stablecoins need to be on a smart contract. That's why you're unable to put them on the Bitcoin blockchain. So the SEC is pushing forward with Project Crypto, which is asking Wall Street to move the total financial system onto the blockchain. ETH is the preferred choice of blockchain for Wall Street. It had zero downtime since inception, and that what the banks are looking for, all right? So 100% uptime. Most legal compliant and secured, recognized in the US, and is in the second largest blockchain. Bitcoin being one, and then Ethereum being number two. We're going to get back to this in 1 second, right after this.
All right, Joey, you've seen Trade the Pool here with us for a while now. And now Trade the Pool has created something special just for you guys. A free ebook featuring 4 proven swing trading strategies from Trade the Pool's top funded traders. Inside, you'll see exactly how they approach the markets, how they manage risk, and what setups they rely on. So you can kind of learn and grow from what actually works. So download it now by scanning the QR code on the screen or hitting the link in the description. Shout out to Trade the Pool. Go ahead, Joey.
Yeah, thank you. So also now, JPM stablecoin is going to be on the Ethereum network. Robinhood is looking to tokenize everything on the Ethereum network, and custody banks are on the blockchain as well too. So aside from that, MSTR is a different story, but why is BitMine moving higher? Well, think about this. MSTR possibly wrote the blueprint. If a nation wants to buy $1 million in Bitcoin, MSTR may be the way to go. It's slightly irrelevant. But Ether, this is what's going on with BitMine. So BitMine essentially owns roughly around $3 billion worth of Ether. When they start staking and it's legal, that's more than $100 million of net income just from staking alone. Ether pays you for providing security to the network on the chain by staking, which can lead to a potential 3% yield. So why am I involved in this? Why do I like it? Look at BitMine. Look at what Ethereum's been up to. It's just adoption from Wall Street, and that's why I'm getting involved in this. If Wall Street likes it, guess what? I do too, because the chance of them appreciating the price and accumulating as much as they can, and we've seen the likes of Tom Lee, what he's doing with BitMine, and then also with Michael Saylor in MicroStrategy, is that's why it's hard for me to avoid and not want to get involved in this, and that's why I really like Ethereum right now, Sheree.
All right, man, that sounds good. I happen to agree with basically everything you said. My only issue is, you and I talked about this. We were looking at the ETS for IBIT, right? And then we looked at the coin, and we saw that they were not directly
tracking error.
Exactly, there was a tracking error. So like, at what point do we kind of forego these sort of products, these derivative products, and just punch into the coin directly? Is that something that you're thinking about?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Why not, right? But if I can use it in my swing trading and take advantage of that, but you're absolutely right. I can't stake ETHA, right? You can't stake it. You can't generate that yield if you don't stake it. So you have to go to obviously a crypto exchange in order to do so. But yeah, if you're looking to get into that yield and kind of create that passive income, by all means, going directly to the coin is the ideal way. Is the ideal way, right?
Like that.
And you can buy fractional amounts as well too. Obviously, using ETHA, you can, if you want to put in $10, you can put in $10.
Exactly.
Whatever you want to do.
Is IB allowing us to punch into these coins now? Because you can basically load up everything. Like, look, let me show you.
So
can we punch?
No, I don't think you can grab the actual coin yet. It'll display the actual underlying.
And I get level 2 on that.
Yeah,
you know what? Like, look at this.
I went through the permissions. It wouldn't allow me to do so.
So let's go. Yeah, let's just try.
Why does it look like it's working?
No, but that's the thing.
Right?
It lures you in like that. So let's just put in $5. Buy. Invalid time.
Exactly.
See, it's constantly day. All right, we'll put day order. Oh.
What does that say?
Oh. 5 beat. Okay, actually, Joey, I think we can.
No way.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Try to punch in like $1. Try to punch in $1 on BTC. Just go into your trade screen and buy $1 worth. See if it lets you in. Because up until I think a few months ago, I was looking.
What did yours say on there?
This is sim,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's never, you're never really
never-
sure. But
never
usually
100%.
on the
Yeah,
sim
yeah,
as well, it would block it for me. So that's what I mean, right? Like,
Okay, yeah.
so
I
I
see
just,
what
yeah,
you're
if we could buy $1, for example, it's not even a big deal.
dollar,
Yo,
dollar.
Apple's flying, man. I don't know
Yeah,
what
what
the
is
hell
up
is
with
going on with
Apple?
this thing, but it's clearly a program buy. It looks like the big money's back into the dead one over here, which ain't so dead on the day.
Okay, hold on, Sharif.
Go,
Sorry,
Joey.
IB partnered with a company called Zero Hash to trade coins.
I know, but is that Canada though?
Yeah, that's
Between
a
New York
great
cents because
question.
we're
Yeah.
a different rule.
Well, that was
I know
Damien-
you've been able to
Damien
trade
Tariff.
BTC on IB for like a hot minute, I think, in the States, a couple of years, maybe more.
Maybe
actually.
not here.
Yeah, but in Canada, it hasn't
point.
been that way. Yeah, guys, I mean, if you're looking at the Mag 7 today, you should be looking at Apple because that is the 5-minute look and that is the 10 EMA, and well, you can make out the rest. So be on the lookout for the dead one on the day, up into 228 and change there. All right, keeping an eye on these other bad boys over here. I got a couple positions on, some okay, some not. CAPR is fantastic. BTAI is having trouble continuing with the higher lows and higher highs. Back into 28 it goes. That's where I'm long. Anything below 20 ends the trade. It is really that simple. I've wet the beak a couple of times there. But man, neg is everything that I said it would be and more. But it's just awfully spready. It's a dollar spread. Adara, you should be looking at neg. I know you like to look more short these, but have a look at your friend NEGG over here. I mean, it's a fantastic bounce off that volume. Not a bad look at all, Adara says. Of a fantastic couple of bounces off the volume weighted average price. You get that consolidation. You could have traded it as a range. It always held above VWAP, and boom, into $85 it goes. It's up a prohibitive amount on the day for an expensive name, up 42%. And looking to go more over here. So NEGG, if you don't mind these spready small cap gappers, this one certainly is one to keep an eye on.
I don't think so,
It's
Street.
not, it's no
Yeah,
trading permission. See,
yeah.
hold on, what does this say?
Yeah,
The
so-
instrument type. If you would like to update your trading permission, okay, there you go. Request it. Hit request.
Brother, I did. This is what comes up next, right?
Your account.
Yeah.
Can you click that again?
Yeah.
All right. What did it say, Joe?
Because this account is not, it's
Yeah,
not
see,
eligible
again,
to trade
we get
product from
craft
the,
on
yeah,
it
so we can't
yeah,
even
exactly.
do that.
Well,
we can't even go directly to the underlying, man.
But we can do Coinbase. We
Yeah,
can
we
do a
can
bunch
go
of different
Square,
ones, right?
Square,
right?
Square, right? Coin Square on that one. Get lit up on fees.
Yeah. I like how you just set that up there. I like that. I like that. Shout out to Joe.
Brutal. But yeah, see, we're not continuing this breakup. But as for man, oh man,
What,
Bitmine is crazy, brother. I can't believe this.
Good look, yeah.
It still might even be a good buy down here, Sharif. To be honest with you, hold of 30, but that's 20 or almost $20 off of that low right now. But I mean, this is insanity
Can I
right
ask you
here.
a question though?
Yeah.
Do you not fear there could be bag holders there just waiting for any pop-up to sell,
To sell?
into an oblivion? I'm not trying to scare you at all.
No.
That's just a genuine question I have when I see these sharp.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think it's always in the back of my head if there could be that potential rug pull. If you hit a certain price target, then they just dump the stock. But at the end of the day, it's just like, okay, where's my risk profile? If it hits
Bang.
that level, then boom, I'm not going to dig too much into that. Whatever goes behind the screen, I can't really control that.
Fair enough.
I could just
and the
manage
price
what's going
action
on.
don't lie. Those are
That's-
pretty aggressive days.
Right, and we're starting to get rounding right there, right? So a little rounded
Absolutely.
bottom on
Good
that
point,
one.
man.
So yeah, for me personally, it's just keep those risk measures in place. What happens on the other end of the screen, I have no control over. Really.
Fair, man.
So,
I
yeah.
respect that. Respect the hell out of that. Darth Trader, I love the name. PSA, have a backup plan. My power went out as soon as I punched long. Oh, goodness. On BMNR breakout, got lucky, and profits going straight to the generator fund.
Let's go.
That's a smart idea. And Joseph and I always talk about this. We were even telling the Katina man the other day, we're like, we don't even use wireless mouses or wireless keyboards, man. We use everything has to be wired and plugged in because you don't want to be in a position where your mouse dies, your keyboard dies, or whatever the
And
hell.
the app is like when I'm trading at home, my phone is right beside me just in case anything happens.
Smart,
I had the
man.
internet go out one time and I'm long something, and it's hitting targets, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get out. And then sure enough, I was lucky enough because I had to use my phone. So. Yeah.
All right, guys, let's have a look at what else is moving. Yeah, it's the VVPR show. It seems like here for small cappers, at least for the moment. SMX has fallen off a cliff. VVPR giving you that consistent higher high, higher low. It's a 566 high, and it's getting quite extended away from the 10 EMA on the 5, so great look there. Be on the lookout for that one, giving you a good move up. Kelvin GTS, look at TTD rally. What are the chances of it wanting to fill the gap today? By the way, you boys think TQQ hitting an M top, a double top. Okay, so I'll do the first one over here. So we'll have a look at TTD, and then your boy Joey Options will look at the future for you, TTD. Let's see if it's going to fill that gap. Oh, wow, we have a long way to go.
Yeah.
Hey, it's nice. Bounce off the bottom. You're at a $53 low. You're up into 55. You're at VWAP right now, so you could get some selling. Who knows? But you were basically selling off the 10 EMA all morning, and you're above the 10 EMA. You're above the 20. You get a cross as well from the 10 above the 20. You're still below the 50, though. Let's go to the daily. Yeah, I mean, there's quite a ways to go to fill that gap. I don't know if you fill it right away either. I don't know, man. This one might be destined for 50 to 45. I mean, look at this area low, right? That's from a few months ago. That's the tariff tantrum, right? And that's when we dropped down early April, made a $45 low, works its way back up to 90, substantially lower than where it was in the fall, though. My goodness, this thing was $140 in the fall in late November. So I don't know, man. I think we might 50, 45. It's a nice bounce back up now, but this is what the daily candle looks like, bounce or not. Like that 53 low, great, yeah, sure. But look where we are relative to the high. We're at 55. The high of the candle is 63, so we're about almost $10 off the high. I don't know, brother. I didn't think it was such a bad report, but you know we've seen this before. We've seen this with these smaller digital advertising names like Snapchat, etc. They just don't do as well as Meta and Google. Those seem to be, you know, taking the bulwark of the money. And I've talked about this anecdotally many times. My friend is in the digital ad sales business. He's a little bit up there too, and he's been doing this now about 15 years, Joey. Oh. And I always ask him, I'm like, who's basically who's taking the bulwark of your advertising dollars? And it's almost always the same answer: Meta, Meta, and Meta. They don't even deal with Google anymore. They just want that, you know, on-stream look. So yeah.
I mean, what was it, like 96% of Meta's revenue comes from digital ad sales?
99.
99.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. All but all but $1 billion. So
Oh, yeah,
I think
yeah.
it was a 46 print,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
45 came from, you know what I mean? Like, crazy.
Which is crazy, yeah, so there you go. All right, yeah, so let's break down the cues here for you. M pattern, yeah, sorry, it's looking like it here, guys. Again, anything can happen. Double top, it is giving that vibe. There's no questioning that. You can see a support level being formed right here. As soon as that's cracked, then maybe, you know what, you can head towards the volume weighted average price, and I think that'd be a good target here, considering the market does look double toppy-ish. But the thing is, though, for me, and I'll mention it, I mention it all the time, I'll mention it again, you got to keep an eye out on what the big boys are doing. If Apple decides that it wants to continue on its trajectory, how's this thing at 228 right now? Oh my God. 229, that's crazy. Pathik, you were asking me, 225, I'm like, yeah, I don't know, that might be a little bit of a stretch. Well, there you go, you get an extra 3-point score. I know you were long Apple as well, too, so good luck there, guys. Gaurav was saying give him his money. Hopefully you locked in a little bit more on that because it is a really, really nice trade. There has been no form of any pullback on this underlying throughout this whole session. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minute red, 7 5-minute red candles at most. So yeah, this is a major buy program, and you can see from a daily standpoint, this is a big time breakout there, guys. What a punch through those resistance zones. And this is what I'm talking about in the likes of Tesla. I haven't even looked at Tesla this week, to be honest. Maybe I traded it Monday. Take that back. But here it is. Okay, so that's a positive sign too, right? You have this price compression, you're breaking through this wedge, and now you're on the backside of this downtrend. Look for that to hold, and then maybe you can continue to the northeast. But right now, Tesla's looking pretty good. From an intraday standpoint, let's take a look at what it's got going on. Wow, did you see Tesla today, Sharif? A big time move from 329 to 330, and now it's holding VWAP. So watch out for some of these big mega cap names. We're breaking out, and some of the laggers are playing catch up now, Sharif.
Yeah, man. And look, there wasn't really that even good of a news on Tesla. It was just them canceling the Dojo supercomputer today, which could be cost savings because I know Elon was spending some money on that, obviously, in terms of technology as well as labor costs, having to hire the best people for the name. But like I was telling Brino this morning, on the call, Joey, they asked him about it. And an analyst asked him about the Dojo supercomputer. He's like, you haven't said anything about it. Are you going to cancel this, or what's the situation? And he kind of...
Is that the one he put together and Jensen was shocked about it?
No, that's the Tennessee. That's the data center for XAI. Yeah, good point. No, the Dojo supercomputer was actually going to be built in Austin. It was specifically to train FSD off.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
And so, but he was taking a different path. He wasn't just stringing these GPUs together, these H100s and B200s. It was, I don't know what he was using, but he wasn't using NVIDIA's latest chips for that. Anyway, so he was asked on the call by an analyst about it, and he was like, you know, yeah, we're gonna use it. It's moving ahead, but he seemed a little squirmy about the question. And so he, you know, in typical Elon fashion, he's very direct when he wants to be, and when he's not direct, you kind of get the feeling.
Get the feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I knew something was afoot. So when we saw the headline today, I was not surprised at all.
So is he squirmish when he talks about the Model 2?
Yes. He says they're building them.
Yeah, well, he said production.
Don't forget that.
Full production.
Yes, by the end of the year. He said they're already making them. Dude, people fly their drones over Tesla's facilities.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen S. You know what I mean? So where is it at, Elon? I want to see it.
It's there.
I bet you anything is probably built off the robo-taxi frame. You can't imagine them having
They
multiple
just slap a
frames.
steering wheel on it.
There you go.
Right?
Right? And probably 4 doors. I don't think it would be 2-door.
No, I don't think it's. Yeah, you think it's gonna be 4? Yeah, I think maybe 4
I think it should be 4 doors, right? Like just more practical.
Maybe 2-door. Is there a 2-door?
There isn't, but perfect segue. So somebody actually takes the Model S and makes it into a convertible 2-door.
No
Isn't that crazy? They convert it. It's like a California specialized maker. Let me see if I can find a picture of this thing. I don't know.
West Coast Customs.
Yeah. Gonna do this right now. Let me find if I can see the 2-door Model S. Let's find it here. Tesla.
Come on.
2-door Model S. Come on, where is it? I know Randy showed me this before. There is a company that actually does it. Is it this one? No. Where is it? Roadster, that's not it either.
Why is it on the, is that the Roadster on Tesla?
One second. I know Randy, I think these are fake pictures. Yeah. There it is. This is it. This is CNET as well, so this is legit. Somebody actually made this, Joseph. Where are the pictures of it? There we go. 7 more. Okay, this is pretty badass, dude.
Yeah,
I get that in a freaking heartbeat.
Hard.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh man, I bet you anything that probably cost up a fortune. Because think about that. You gotta put the whole engine for the
battery.
Yeah, everything for the top too, right? And you gotta cut that bad boy off. That's not bad at all.
That's a really good liquor. Why doesn't he do something like that?
He's a weirdo. I love him. And this is the old one too, because you can tell it's still the portrait screen.
I think that would be fantastic. A 2-door coupe.
Absolutely.
With a drop top.
I don't know why. Yeah, it's because it probably won't move the needle.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had a convertible.
It definitely wouldn't. Yeah,
it takes forever to sell a convertible, Joseph. Forever.
You're telling
so
me. Longer than the Jag?
Hell of a lot longer.
Yeah.
Hell of a lot.
I only like hard tops anyways. I don't like soft tops.
Can I tell you, I had the soft top.
Yeah, you had the soft.
And they insulate that bad boy to the point where you just don't even feel the difference anymore. So like noise-wise, everything, right? Can you look to see where would be the next resistance on NEG, please? I'm thinking of shorting at 90. Shout out to you, my man. All right, shout out to 2 New York cents. We're gonna look at NEG firm over here in 1 hot second. Just let me bring it in.
Get involved in some Tesla long here too, or what? We got a little cash.
Assassino, let's show what we got over here. So here's the chart. This is the 5 minute on NEG. Let's flip though to the daily, see what you're talking about. Oh my God. Look at this, Joseph. This is NEG. That's the, look how many times I put in the ticker, because that's how many times it would show up on my scanner. Every time it shows up on my scanner, I'm throwing in the ticker. So this thing's been going for a minute. Brother, I don't know if you should be shorting this. Clearly it's coming from, a lot higher, but that was in 22. I don't know, $90. What are you seeing here at 90? Let's throw in a level there so we can kind of see where 90 is. Is it interacting? I see what you're seeing. Are you talking about this area over here? So previous area of support, you're looking for it to act as resistance. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, I don't know. I'm just not going to advise you to short these like very strong names. I don't typically short them unless they're below VWAP. And I got to be honest with you, I haven't shorted small cap GAPR since late 22, early 23. I felt that was really the best time. They would always pop up and then mean revert. They almost never went. But that hasn't been the case lately. Like they go, right? They continually go. So I don't know, brother, but
ours on the Amex, eh?
go for it. Oh yeah, I knew it's on the Amex.
Yeah.
Gary retired $1.99. Thank you, Gary, for the super chat. He asks, CGC, how do the charts look? Time for a breakout? Let's look at Canopy. Let's weasel on over here to CGC and see what it's up to at the moment. CGC. This is the 5-minute on CGC, so we're a little bit off the highs. We're generally holding VWAP, though. $1.25 does seem to have support. What I'd say, Gary, if we clear this $1.32, you might get a squeeze into the highs. Now, you never really know, right?
Brother,
Go
sorry
ahead,
to
man.
interrupt
Go
you.
ahead,
Apple
yeah.
is squeezing, my brother.
All right.
Man.
It's going to go to 230, eh?
Yeah, it's going there. It's already touched it, man.
All right.
Big time move. Let's pull up the chain here, guys.
Should we
get
sell?
serious about it.
So we're at $30 off the top.
No.
We just moved $30 in 3 days.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a bad
Did we not?
Yeah. That's,
Weren't we?
let's
Ram,
put a little bit
thank
more.
you. Oh
What
my
happened?
God, Ram, keep it, like, distribute it. Yeah, thank you,
language.
Ram, because
Watch the
we're not
language.
getting anything. Yes, it's bouncing a little bit off that computer and blowing, so leave it. It's good. Thank you, Ram, you're so good. Let's look a little bit more over here, Joey, for CGC.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Joe.
You were saying, you're saying the 3 days here. So yeah, 25, but you're at 205 there, 206 roughly, and then now you're trading at 230. It's not a bad sell.
3 days?
Yeah, in 3 days, right? So, but I mean, at this point, if you're going to continue on this path, Sharif, I think it's going to make that move where it goes and tests some of these key pivot levels. 220, we have already passed that, and then 251, and then you got that next level at 260. I would continue to hold this. You can obviously trim a little bit, but if you're going to break through the resistance with volume like that, I would most definitely hold on to that one.
I'm not going to sell it.
Yeah, no, don't. Yeah, don't.
This is going to be like, this is the long term. It's not even a swing.
Because
you know what I mean?
what happens, like we talked about, what if they just decide to go with the Perplexity deal?
That'd be great. Again, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just stupid, probably the case.
No,
But the fact of the matter is, I don't think they need to be a deliverer of AI. I think that they can be the platform off which AI functions. You know what I mean? Like, and you know what?
That's fair. That's fair, right? I
Right?
think that's very.
They're
valid.
building data centers. Remember that $100 billion they're going to spend on that Texas
Yep.
data center? So it's not like they don't have, but I just don't think that they need to have the best AI. I'd like Siri to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
If I tell Siri, look up something for me, it shouldn't be that complicated. I should be able to speak to Siri in natural English without it getting confused.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree on you.
So
but
if
you
they
don't
can
want
get
you don't want to
that
have
right-
that. Yeah, so you want essentially Siri to become agentic is what you're getting.
I don't even need it to become a
But if it
Joe,
did, that's a big
be
time
even
bonus.
better.
That's bonus,
It'd be
right? That's
way
a big
better,
time
of
bonus.
course.
So.
Right? Give it, like Brendo has got a bunch of different agents. He's using the agent on the agent LLM off chat. And he has like this entire process that he has the agents get for him every day. A lot of it has to do with the news stories. It
Yeah, yeah.
organizes it for him in a certain way. Every morning he's running those bad boys. And he goes over it and it doesn't hallucinate all that much.
That's good. That's
yeah.
good. I
so-
think that's the benefit of Perplexity, though. When I started using, shout out to Wayne for getting
man.
on that. It's just
Wayne,
it goes through a bunch of different sources, right?
I love that.
Which is, I think,
Right,
really
gives you a
important.
good-
So.
All right. What do you got, Joey?
Yeah, we're long TSLL and we're long Ethereum. This thing is not working out how we want, but we're gonna just continuously hold this one. What is Tesla up to? Yeah, that's starting to move higher. That's a pretty good look right here. You can see that we're starting to punch in TSLL as we're bouncing off the volume weighted average price. So it's either we're gonna go for that high of the day or we're gonna reject it. I wanna see us form, like I just mentioned, but even so, we're going to get on that path of moving towards that specific level, then I think there's a trade to be had here, right? So just keep that in mind. We'll put it on the 3-minute. Even if it does establish a new lower high, then that's okay. We take some off. Once the price starts to turn around, then we just get out of the trade. But if the momentum picks up, and you can see the volume profile pick up as well too, if that continues and you want to make that push to a new all-time high, considering that Apple's breaking out, now you have Tesla on the backside of that trend, I really like this for a potential move. But other than that, Sharif, I'm sitting in this. Ether is just chopping around. But the longer chops, I think the better it might be in my case, considering that we have done this liquidity grab. One thing to note is that we are forming those lower highs on this 5-minute print here. So just keep that, just obviously continue to observe that. And then you have that support level that essentially we're basing that trade off of there.
Oh, all right. We've got a couple of super chats. Let's go over these. Let me just load up my chart so I can go over these for you. First one, that's what happens whenever Joe buys an iPhone. Hey,
yeah, exactly, man.
There you go, Joe. You brought the good luck, baby. Oh, my bad, SSC. I'm sorry. Thank you for the 279 Canadian super chat. That's why I hit that. The Dan Zone, $1.99 super chat. Shout out to you, my man. Got Apple long at 202. Expires October. Thanks to y'all. Shout out to you, my man. I hope you're printing up multiple storms. You didn't say what you got calls. I'm assuming those are 202 calls?
Yeah,
sure, 202 calls, right? So that's a good look there. Fantastic. The Dan Zone, hope you print up several storms on that side of the screen. All right, let's move back to VVPR because this one's pulling into the 10 EMA and it might be time to go long on this one. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right, timeout. You got a 24-hour timeout there, buddy. You can't spam the chat. All right, let's look at VVPR over here. See what this one's doing. Pulling into the 10 EMA, as I mentioned, 542. It's got a 3-candle pullback on the 5. This is a nice area, though, this 540 area, because that was the breakout area before. We ranged into this area, but it's losing it pretty quick over here. Let's see how deep we get. I might be punching long here on VVPR awfully soon, but I should probably punch out a BTAI, though, because it's 5 pennies out of the money, and it feels like it's going to flat bottom break. But I think I do have my stop right below that 20-penny area. Just want to confirm that. Yes, I do. So if it does break down below 20s, we're safe there. So let's focus now on VVPR as it comes back down. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get long here, Joey, and I'm going to give it to the 20-penny area. And it's already not letting me in, true to form. Good look, good luck. Yeah, again, no worries, no worries. Take your time, VVPR, and it bounces up all the way. So we're not going to get into this one. So that's the look. We'll keep an eye on HL as well. HL looking real good. Pull that up on a trading screen. All right. Go to the trade on that. There we go. HL looking to take out high, 766. It just got into that high. Printing 65s now. This has been quite strong off that 10 EMA. So be on the lookout for that. HL could be taking out, that 7 3/4, maybe even $8 by the end of the day. So be looking out for that. Joey.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at what we got going on. I got to pull something up for us. All right, yeah, so let me know when we're ready. Okay, cool. So, yeah, all right, guys, what do we got cooking up? Bitmine continuing to climb higher, looking like it wants to take out this previous short signal. Good thing we did not get that short. You had to order those here, request the locates for the BMNR short. Essentially what you want to play is the break of this low of the candle, and it never happened, and now we're starting to move to the top side. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity to get involved in this name. You can see that we're starting to curl over. Price is really starting to expand as well too, guys. So we open up at $40, and now we're trading up to $50. That's a big time move today, so shout out to Bitmine. Essentially what Tom Lee has planned for this is what MicroStrategy's got going on. So the appreciation of Ether and then the yield and the price of owning the stock as well too. All right, guys, VinFast delivered over 35,800 EVs in Q2 of 2025, making a 172% jump from last year. That brings the first half total to more than 72,000 EVs, up more than 220% year over year. With stronger sales usually in the second half, they're on pace to easily double 2024's 97,000 units. They're also crushing it on two-wheelers with nearly 70,000 e-scooters and bikes sold in Q2, up 432% from a year ago. And with gas-powered two-wheelers being phased out in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City by 2026, the growth potential looks huge. You can find them on the Nasdaq under ticker VFS. Thank you very much for that. What was I about to do? Yeah, so that's BMNR just continuing on an amazing trajectory. It's broken. Okay, so there you go, guys. You break through that high. You're going to continue that topside move. Let's go Ethereum. Oh, my days. I can't believe how much I'm actually just baffled because I was thinking about buying some the other day, but I'm just fully into what I got going on with ETHA right now, and we're sitting pretty good in it, but I would have liked to get more. So, but again, I'm just like 100% BP into this for the foreseeable future, especially if it's going to continue on this path. If I get any indecision signals, then I'll hop out and then I'll look to grab some Bitmine. But there it is, 21% on the day and still climbing, punching through that short signal. Man, what a big time move that we're experiencing there. Tesla, no good. I just kind of took a shot on that for fun. It's not working out for us, but if we break and hold this key level, you can see the weakness on the tape pick up as well. So just keep that in mind, guys. If it breaks and holds this support system, then I'm just going to hop out of that trade and just not even trade Tesla anymore because my accuracy on it is just horrendous. When I tell you, just from documenting, obviously journaling, you know what tickers you're good at trading and what tickers you're not. Tesla, in my opinion, is not in play for me, and I'm horrible at trading it. So there you go. I'm all out of it, nor am I going to be looking at this name for the rest of the day. My focus is going to be on ETHA. That's all I care about right now is Ether, and Ether just churning shares throughout the session. So yeah, this has been pretty good. We did take a loss, small loss right there. We took a little bit more profit. We did get stopped out of the 50% remaining. This is where we started this secondary position right here. Boom, boom, boom. We add and then we continuously add a little more. And then this was our add in the initial long right here. And then sure enough, it's just a free roll method. And then we get stopped out at the break there and took about a couple penny loss on that one. So not too bad. But other than this was most definitely the trade of the day and something that I'm kind of happy that I took, considering that I game planned for it last night, was manifesting this morning on how I'm going to execute while I was at the gym, riding the bike to the office this morning. And yeah, so that's just kind of what I do. So just continuously think how I'm going to execute, especially if I run my scans. And then sure enough, you have those A+ setups, you have to try to take advantage of those. Why do we go? Oh yeah, the playmaker. Because we got other things. It was Trump turmoil that we had going on. Tariff turmoil. Sorry. So we were just busy with other things. We're doing the news now as well too. But I'm glad that you remembered it. Here it is. ETHA. Boom, boom, boom. And then now we're starting to pull back in. It's stuck in this consolidation. I'm going to hold on to this until it heads back towards that low or it breaks and holds the VWAP. And for me, it's just going to be like, all right, that's it. We're going to lock in our profits in the day and then just go super small on some other names if this trend continuation doesn't want to occur. But now we're at $230.32 on Apple, and it doesn't seem that it wants to stop. I'm surprised that it's not dragging the Qs up more too as well, Sharif.
All right, let's start the news, guys. We're going to start by talking about the let's start the news, guys. We're going to start by talking about the trade desk and that big, how much is it down now? Plunge on the day. We're down about, 37.5%. Not a good look. Why did that happen? Well, Q2 revenue did rise about 19% year over year, up to $573 million, but the growth slowed substantially, down from 26% in Q2 of last year in 2024, and it also dropped quarter over quarter from Q1 of this year to Q2, which is what they're reporting. It actually grew 25% in Q1. They're saying that the demand for connected TV advertising service weakened as these tightened their budgets amid economic uncertainty. And brands in key categories like auto, consumer packaged goods, they all saw heightened volatility in Q2. Their rising costs also didn't help matters. Their operating expenses jumped about 18% year over year on the quarter, pressuring the margins. And their Q3 revenue guidance was roughly in line. 717 million is what they were projecting, but even being in line, that kind of failed to excite investors. And then we saw basically what happened. Rivals like Roku, Pubmatic, and Magnite all may actually capture these incremental budgets as trade desk, struggles with slowing growth. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that, Joey. Not a good report from Trade Desk.
No, not whatsoever, guys. And as we look at this name from a technical standpoint, you can see where we closed on the session yesterday, around 87, 86. And then you take this massive gap down. So that's approximately 36% from that yesterday's close to where we're currently trading at right now. So that is not a good look. But with that being said, is what you want to kind of keep an eye out on. And on today's expiration cycle, you can see that the volume in the OI is relatively cool. So there's nothing substantial other than that we have, 12,000 at this 56 level and then 22,000 at that 55 level. So if you look at it from this perspective, If we're going to trade south of 55, so that's that at the money, what can happen is that now that those contracts are going to expire OTM and you just collect the full premium. So 55 yesterday was worth substantially more before the report. And considering that's where the concentration is and where we're seeing all the open interest, for me, I think that the market's going to want to look to push it below that specific level and allow those contracts to expire worthless there, Sharif. What's
your look, Adira, on Trade Desk? It was a big drop down here, 37.5%.
It's a nasty chart. It's coming into earnings day VWAP right now. Let's see how it behaves. I think lately what we've seen is a lot of these names that have sold off in earnings day one, cough, cough, Crocs. Oh, sorry. A lot of these names that sold off in earnings day one, so like, your friends Crocs and there's Fortinet, they're rejecting the earnings day VWAP when they retest it. TTD is right now just heading into earnings day VWAP. I would like to see what it does. I suspect it will retest because that's been the pattern, but it'll reject it, but we're gonna have to wait and find out what happens. In terms of the actual fundamentals here, this is like a name that I really don't understand why it was added to the index. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I was very flummoxed by that decision. And I think also the fact that it was added over AAPL, which is kind of in a similar space.
Good point.
And AAPL been up for addition. It's like over $100 billion market cap, and it's not in the SPY and it's eligible. What are you doing? That rant's besides the point. I think there's clearly, as we mentioned, a couple winners in the ad space. One of them is not TTD. Weird look, bad look for your first earnings report after joining the SPY. I'm going to give this one a thumbs down.
All right, let's go on to Tesla. Pete Bannon, he's the VP of Hardware Design Engineering, is leaving Tesla after joining from Apple back in 2016. He did actually lead the development of Tesla's Dojo supercomputer, and he actually reported directly to Elon Musk, so there was a direct line of communication. Bloomberg now reporting Musk ordered that the Dojo team be shut down and have their engineers reassigned to other projects. You'll recall that Dojo was central to Musk's vision of Tesla as an AI and robotics powerhouse beyond just the EV game. Everything good?
Well, I froze. Yeah, my computer froze. I just have to reset.
Hell? Yeah, are you in a position?
Yeah.
You good though?
No, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm just going. Well, restarts. I'm going to the washroom.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So it was central to their vision for AI and robotics. Built to process massive vehicle data. That's really what it was there for. AI training to improve driver assistance as well as FSD autopilot and enable robotaxi capabilities. But he's kind of chosen to really focus more on XAI and building out that data center. So Musk says Tesla's focus is on real-world AI for cars and robots, while XAI kind of develops that super intelligence software. Some engineers actually declined Tesla's roles to work on AGI, prompting Musk to form XAI. And here are some of the people who left as well. Milan Kovac, he was head of the Optimus robotics engineering. David Lau as well. Omid Ashfar, I think he's former chief of staff, and he left a prominent role at Dare. I think you were telling me about this Omid guy. Wasn't he Elon's confidant or something like that? Yeah, so Joey's not here, so you're up. Yeah.
The taco thing. So Tesla. Here's the thing. These guys keep leaving. And the thing as well, Sharif, that I want to mention.
Adira.
I'm pressing it.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, you're good.
It is being
it's
pressed.
the software.
I want to mention as well here with TSLA, you mentioned that Pete Bannon directly reported to Elon Musk. I've noticed a lot of the people who work for Elon Musk seem to directly report to him. I think it's pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like, I like that he has that direct line of communications. Right now, though, I guess Pete Bannon will no longer be directly reporting to him because he's left the company. But I also think the fact that apparently, like I was reading, roughly 20 employees or more, according to the same Bloomberg report, have left Tesla for that density AI, also started by an individual who, or I guess some Tesla executives. So the fact that former Tesla members are I guess, leaving the company for startups run by other former Tesla members, really weird. There's some kind of purging that's happening within the company. I think Elon maybe needs to just sit down and be like, hey guys, how can we get people coming back or returning instead of just this kind of weird exodus we've had. Tesla does. That pun worked better in my head. But either way, this exodus of Tesla employees is kind of weird and seems not inflicted by Elon or Tesla either. It seems like most of them seem to be leaving of their own will. So that is interesting. And I want to know what they do now with this revamped Dojo supercomputer unit, because apparently some people have been reassigned.
Ops on an EPS miss. They printed about 33 pennies per share. per share. The street was looking for 35, so miss on the bottom line. Revenue came in at 998 million. They did beat on the top line because the street was looking for 975 million. And sales grew also 17% year over year, and net income rose to $38.7 million. Compare that to last year when they took home about a little less than $9 million, $8.9 million. They guided for Q3 their revenue 1.03 billion up to 1.05, which was above the consensus estimate of 1.25 billion. And they had good growth for their users, about 578 million now global monthly active users, topping the 574 expected by the street. And you love to see this highlight here in the green, where Gen Z or Z now actually makes up over half their user base. And I'll get to why that's important in a second. Their profitability continues to grow. Not bad here. EBITDA came in, Q2 EBITDA came in at 251 ahead of the 233 million expected, but there are advertising headwinds. So the CFO, Julia Donnelly, she noted lingering ad spend caution due to tariffs and market uncertainty, and some Asian-based e-commerce retailers, right? Remember the de minimis rule that Donald closed that is hurting Temu and Shein? So all those imports coming at $800 and under were tariff-free. That's over, right? So some of these Asia-based e-commerce retailers out of China cut their U.S. spend after the closure of that de minimis rule exception. So that kind of hurt things a little bit for them. But what I specifically liked about Pins is their use of AI. And we didn't really hear much about that from the company yesterday, but I was listening, or was actually reading another analyst report on it. And she was basically saying, you know, that they've got this AI feature that's sort of like image detection, right? So say you like a piece of clothing, maybe it's a bit more expensive than you're willing to spend. You take a picture of it, it shows you all these other alternatives that you could get for a much lesser price or even more expensive. So you can kind of goes both ways there if you're looking for a higher end version. So I do like that. I do like their use of AI, Joey, especially how they're targeting a lot of the younger audience. Let me know if you're ready, or we can go to Adara if you want.
I still have to load everything
Sure.
back up.
Adara, what's your look on Pins over here with that EPS miss? But there was a lot. There was some good in this report.
Yeah, I think there are some good things in that report. I didn't realize the extent to which they used AI, so that could be interesting. I am actually proud to say that I am one of their users now. I downloaded the app earlier this month. It's cool. I do like the clothing aspect, which I know you mentioned as well. I think that way of doing things is pretty interesting. But yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see what happens there. There was that warning from the CFO in the report. So I think next quarter, the quarter after, could be interesting. There's a lot of businesses that you wouldn't expect there to be seasonality in. And we talked about this yesterday as well with purchasing Pelotons. I would not expect Pinterest to have seasonality. And yet, like, you know, we're guiding certain things for the later half of the year, right? So it's always interesting. I mean, the people who are making these decisions, the CFOs, CEOs, they obviously know better than us. All we can do is kind of speculate. Regardless, long story short, Pinterest actually looks like it's probably going to curl a little bit back down here. This stock has been super choppy since the report. I think day 2 maybe could be for a better trade, but day 1, it would be really hard to expect this to be a long just based on the pre-market action.
Joseph's still dealing with his computer. It's just you and I. And now Adara. Block surges on raised full year outlook. Guys, great report here for Block. There were a couple of concerning areas, but overall, not bad. The first concerning area is they missed on earnings per share. They printed 62. The street wanted 69 on revenue. Again, missing on the top and bottom line of 6.05 billion. That was their print. The street wanted 6.31. But it was one of those cases where they said to the street, hey, we missed here, but trust us, bro. We got it next quarter, and I kind of don't like that. We'll get to the guide in a second, but here's where here are the different financial segments with gross profit about 2.54 billion, which is a 14% bump year over year and beating consensus estimate. Likewise with their gross purchasing volume, 64.25 billion, a 10% bump year over year, and their Cash App GBPV up to 2.37 billion. Net income coming in quite a bit higher than it was last year. They took home more than $500 million of profit, or about 87 pennies per share. Compare that to last year on the quarter where they took home less than $200 million, or about 31 pennies per share. So a marked increase in that profitability, expansion of margins or controlling of cost. You can make your own deductions there. But the guidance is really where I say, trust me, bro, because that's kind of what it feels like with this one. Full year gross profit outlook raised to 10.17 billion, up from the 9.96 prior, and a 14% bump year over year if they can actually hit that. With full year adjusted operating income coming in at 2.03 billion, which denotes a 20% margin. Not bad, but not great. It should be a little bit higher given the segment. And Q3 guidance for profit, they're guiding about a 16% bump in that take-home money, with about $2.6 billion in operating margin, which is 18%, which is I don't think it's great. Anyway, they do have a competitive headwind here, so they do face rising competition from both Toast and Fireserve's Clover, but Square gained share in retail and food and beverage. So nice to see they're expanding their moat away from the traditional areas of retail. Adara, what's your look here on Square?
So my concern with XYZ is less the fact that they actually missed and more the fact that it's down 2% year over year for the revenue. That's kind of rough. I think the whole trust me bro thing, that's fully how I felt when I read this report. I'm like, why is it up? And I guess the market agreed with us, Sharif, because we get this pre-market rounded top and then what you would call a huadung. We are at low of days. The market seems to be kind of, rounding this off to the downside. I don't know. I think this space is really, really crowded. We talk about there's a lot of different payment names. Some of them might have overlap. Truthfully, it's a space I need to understand the nuances of more. But yeah, I mean, XYZ, the stock looks bad. The numbers look bad. I mean, you can guide whatever you want, but I'd be more impressed if they guided low and beat than if they give us this like 14% year over year increase when you actually had a year over year decrease this quarter. I will leave you with a fun fact about Jack Dorsey. He's actually randomly name dropped in a Kendrick Lamar song on his new album. And I always smile when I think about the random Square Jack Dorsey reference there. Back to you.
All right, let's go on to Twilio. They dropped despite a strong second quarter where revenue increased 13% year over year. Compare that to Q1 of this year when it was only 12. So nice to see it growth quarter over quarter, as well as beating the consensus estimate here by about 3.4%. They did provide above guidance, above consensus Q3 guidance, not for revenue, and they have 4 consecutive quarters now that growth has actually accelerated, with full year revenue over the past 12 months increasing about 9.25%. Why did it sell off? Well, it could be gross margins, which fell for the 5th straight quarter. It's now down 60 basis points quarter over quarter. That's not something that you want to see drop, as it denotes margin compression. They also implied that they're going to have a weaker second half of 2025 when it comes to their operating margins, as they're going to invest more in research and development. They're ramping that up, apparently in voice, RCS, and AI products. So maybe short-term margin compression headwinds here for Twilio, but you got to like that they're investing where they may see dividends. Analyst reactions here were kind of were interesting. Goldman Sachs, they have it as a buy and $145 price target. They see compelling risk to reward ratio at the current price with long-term double-digit growth potential. Wolf, for their part, they also raised the price target up from 140 to 155, citing Signal conference momentum. I'm not sure what Signal is. And JMP Securities, they have it as a market outperform with a $165 price target. They have these new features here that I don't know too much about because I don't use their platform, but it seems to be interesting analysts and investors, Adara, even though it sold off quite aggressively.
I just looked it up, Sharif. So Signal is their conference that they have every year. So that's what Signal is. Because I was wondering, I just looked up, I didn't even realize what they did. For some reason, I thought they did gaming. Though I might have been combining the fact their logo kind of reminds me of EA's logo, and their ticker is almost Take-Two. So I think I married a whole bunch of companies in my head. Regardless, Twilio, Sharif, I think the biggest thing I noticed here, I don't have much to say, but the fact that Goldman Sachs, Wolf Research, JMP, all these price targets are well above where we're currently trading. Analysts seem to think, regardless of this report, that this thing can rocket higher. Right now, I'm going to trust them because I don't think I understand the business well enough to comment further.
Sentiment as well, Adair. Let's talk about Under Armour. They plunge on a weak forecast and what they're calling tariff concerns. So they dropped, I don't know where they're at right now, but in the pre-market, they were down about 13%. They've added to that substantially. They're down now 21 1/3. Warning of a sharp profit drop in Q3 due to tariff impacts. They also second set of data shows that, okay, well, what the hell is this? Sorry, let's talk about their earnings. So adjusted EPS came in at 2 pennies. versus the 3 that the street was looking for. Revenue was 1.13 billion, down 4% year over year on reported currency neutral basis. North American revenue fell 5% year over year, and international revenue also dropped 1%. Doesn't look like they're growing anywhere. So by region, 10% up in EMEA. Asia Pacific saw a 10% decline. Latin America saw a 15% decline. By channel, so for example, their wholesale revenue where you sell to, Dick's Sporting Goods, Foot Locker, that was a 5% drop year over year. Their direct to consumer as well saw a 3% drop year over year. E-commerce down 12% year over year. The only thing that grew was their own stores, the Under Armour stores, which grew at a measly 1%. Very, very few things to say good so far about this report. Let's talk about their different segments. Apparel revenue down 1%. Footwear, down 14%. Their accessories, the only thing here that actually grew, and the smallest of all three, up 8%, up to $100 million there. Their outlook, the Q3 outlook, they do expect to decline 6 to 7% for revenue in Q3. They're talking also their EPS guidance for Q3. They're guiding a penny to 2 pennies versus a 12-penny consensus estimate. They're saying supply chain headwinds, Joey, and tariff impacts, but they didn't really elaborate on that.
No, I don't think that's going to be the case here in Under Armour, Sharif. If you want to talk about dying brands, I think that's something along those lines. I remember when during my prime in hockey, it was Under Armour, right? Because they came in with that first what do you call it, with the tights and everything, kind of just that protective, that sweatwear that you're wearing under your whatever equipment it was. But it's just a rotation from a brand, in my opinion. It phased out. There was something new, there was something hotter, and there was something better. And you can most definitely see that displayed in Under Armour's price session with that massive gap down. And Sharif, they're getting into the drink business. I don't know if you've ever seen the Under Armour drinks, but that's what they're leading towards. And for me personally, it's that cyclical effect of what we see in some of these sporting goods. Under Armour is unfortunately a victim of that.
Yeah, it's not a good look at there. Do you have any Under Armour stuff?
I own anything from the company that I can think of off the top of my head. This chart does not offer a lot of enthusiasm for me to, trade this or buy any products from the company. Like that area just below $5 has been nice support. If it can hold there, then that's good. If not, I would look out below. Yeah, I think the fact they're expecting that revenue decline, not a good look. Like sometimes you don't understand how the market reacts to reports. In this case, it fully makes sense you'd gap down on this report. That's all I have to say. And in terms of like this, I wouldn't even really say that UAA has been much of a mainstay. I can't even think of like the last time I've seen anyone wearing this. I don't see their logo a lot. Kind of a rough look.
I have a bunch of Under Armour stuff for the gym, and I like it. But they have a couple of lines. They have a basketball line, and they have The Rock as well. The Rock, I don't know if they still have that brand partnership with him, but they had a lot of The Rock's different clothing. Fantastic, I want to say, quality for a lot of them. But what I'm seeing at the gym is a lot less people are actually wearing it. And I think you brought this point up, Joseph, where you said, there's a shift to these online sort of, or these direct-to-consumer style, like you mentioned Gymshark, right?
Yeah,
as one of them. There's also others, of course, and so I'm seeing
the likes of Aloe
as well, Lululemon. Maybe Lulu's fallen a little bit out of favor lately because of the price and whatever, but I'm seeing a lot less people wear it at the gym. I personally happen to like the quality, but it's not in favor with people.
As for the quality, Sharif, I've had the same actual long sleeve shirt for probably about a decade now. I used to wear boxing and everything along those lines. I love it. It's great. It's lasted me. I played hockey with it. I fought in it. There's been blood in it. But in all seriousness, it's good quality. It's just the rotation. You don't see Under Armour advertising on Snapchat. Me personally, I don't know what you see on TikTok or Instagram or anything along those lines. But for me, it was Gymshark, Aloe, not even Nike anymore. You would see some Adidas, but for me, it's just a dying brand, and you can see that reflected, especially in its earnings report here.
Yeah, and I don't want to say, selling at Costco doesn't make you good or anything like that, but the Jameson says we can get UA at Costco in the U.S. I think that might actually be possible as well here. I think I've seen some Under Armour, not 100% sure, but yeah, you guys are making a good point. Charles Trader 1111 says Fabletics. Fabletics is quite a bit cheaper. I see it as like, I don't want to say a premium brand, but good quality, but not high price. So that's what my experience has been with that. Let's go on to Novo Nordisk. Surges after rival Lilly's weight loss pill disappoints. I feel like we just talked about this for Novo. So anyway, here's what happened. So late stage study had about 12.5% average weight loss over 7 weeks versus the placebo group. Analysts were looking for more though. They wanted it to either beat Wegovy's 14.9% weight loss, which was a study done back in 2021, lasted about 68 weeks, and certainly showed better results there. The pill that didn't do that well for them is called orforglipron. It was pitched as a cheaper once-a-day pill alternative to obesity injections, and did have a high dropout rate. It was not well tolerated, it seems, by the study group. A lot of people were complaining of gastrointestinal issues. It had a 25% dropout rate versus the average, versus the placebo group, which had about a 30% dropout rate, which flags as potentially unusual, says Mizuho. The competitive landscape for this, though, is getting quite substantial. So the obesity drug market is actually projected to hit $150 billion in 2026. Current leaders are obviously Lilly's Zepbound and Novo Nordisk's Wegovy. Lilly's weaker than expected results give kind of Novo maybe a short-term edge. We'll have to see how that all works out. But Novo's got a good pipeline here. So there's a June trial for their experimental drug called CagriSema, which showed 23% weight loss in overweight obese adults. The overweight patients, Joseph, with type 2 diabetes lost about 16% of their body weight, and the results significantly outperformed Lilly's latest pill trial. So you see Novo kind of bouncing on that news.
Yeah, that's good news there. That's good news for sure. And you're also seeing the cheap alternatives in the likes of Hims and Hers. They have that weight loss pill as well, too. But yeah, as for Novo, if you take a look at this name from a technical standpoint, it's a really, really, really tough look here. So you can see that downtrend, and then we were going over names that have been in this consistent downtrend. And in order to get involved, yeah, you can start to build positions around the lows, but until you snap the backside of this trend, for me personally, it's not a buy. If it does break, then maybe you'll get the continuation, but for right now, it's not looking too good considering that previous gap down. But from a percentage metric, zoom in here and see and take a look. Let me get rid of this. And then we're going to see how much we're down from this previous peak. And that's not going to be good whatsoever. 65%, all right? So a high of around $148, and then you're trading around $58 right now. But for the options chain, I wanted to see what kind of activity we had around that $67 strike price, and there isn't much. So all of those have expired, but there's other things that we can keep an eye out on. So now we want to go towards the lows around 43 roughly to see if there's a base and why we're bouncing off those specific areas. And there's nothing that grabs my attention. But one thing you do want to keep an eye out for is this concentration of OI between these two strikes. So it's either we're going to trade below these so they expire worthless, or you can get that gamma squeeze type effect where these are now caught offside. And what happens after that, you get the rollover to the next cycle to make sure, or to see if price and if they have enough, if there's enough liquid or not enough demand, for the underlying asset, where they can continuously shell shares and then push price lower below those specific concentrations right here around 50 and 51 Sharif.
Adira, this is a segment that you cover often and have a keen eye on. What's your insight here?
Yeah, I mean, I think we mentioned it this morning on the morning show. I did have a trade on Lilly. It was a nice little short this morning. Right now, though, I do want to mention a couple quick news stories. For one, JP Morgan dropped. I don't have news on it, but it did drop violently like a couple minutes ago. I don't have anything on it. I just want to let you guys know that happened. MSOS, though, there is some news. Senator Rand Paul reportedly working to reach a compromise on some hemp THC product laws with Senator Mitch McConnell and some House lawmakers. That's being reported by our good friend Marijuana Moment. Now, in terms of Novo Nordisk, Sharif, I'm going to focus entirely on the CagriSema aspect of this. So CagriSema, it's funny. It's really funny that this kind of being framed as, oh, well, CagriSema performed better than what we saw here with Lilly's drug, because when those trial results initially came out for CagriSema, Novo tanked. The stock hated it because that 22.7%, that was actually lower than the 25% that the market wanted. Then the second trial, we got that roughly 16% number, obviously still lower. So I find it amusing how the market reacts to things like, oh, it's better than CagriSema. Yeah, but Wall Street, you didn't like the CagriSema results either. So make up your mind. I mean,
Well,
I guess
I think it might be shifting expectations, Adira,
That's
because
very
they were expecting the same type of results for the oral pill as they were for the injections, and that didn't come to fruition. So you have to like drop your expectations a bit. You know what
you're
I mean?
right. That makes sense too. It's just funny to me that Novo was initially like popping higher on this. But I mean, it is what it is. The market has a fickle memory. I unfortunately do not, so I get a little annoyed about these things. I just wanted to rant about Kagrasema for a bit. And yeah, Eli Lilly wasn't watch for me. I'll probably talk about that trade during the market recap.
Love
It's
it.
a good time.
All right, sounds good, Adira. Thank you for that. We'll look forward to that review.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to Adira and her Lily Short. Joey, you want to cover
Yeah,
something?
yeah. Let's talk about what we got going on here right
Okay.
now in Ether. I would have added significantly earlier, but this is computer shutdown realm. So this is why we got back in this name. I mentioned that I was looking for the continuation in the strength, considering what we've seen out of those opening drives. So I'm like, okay, let's see how we can take advantage of this previous pivot high on the actual underlying asset. That's Ether. And then there we go. That's why I took multiple attempts on this name. It was just conviction behind the setup. Am I in anywhere the amount of the size that I want? No, but I have shares in on the right trade, and I have to be accepting of that. So there it is. Another ad there on Ether. So boom, boom. We add again. Computer shutdown here, Sharif. We add a little bit more, and then sure enough, boom. As soon as that volume, as soon as I seen this candle right here, I would have been adding, so my price would have been a little bit better, but I won't complain about this. It's slightly impulsive, but I'm like, okay, we're heading towards that previous high of the day. Let's see if we can make that move towards it, all right? So that's that Ether trade. Again, that was the attempt. This is the attempt that I was thinking that we're going to break this pivot, but it wasn't the case. We were fortunate enough to get some off. We took another stab at it at the hold of some key support levels, and we lost. But other than that, we've just been churning shares on Ethereum all day, Sharif.
Sounds good, man. Tempest AI popped on a strong Q2 revenue and narrowed its losses. So let's look at what it's doing on the day. Tempest AI, TEM. Where are we at? 3 1/3. Okay, so we're certainly off the highs in the pre-market because we were up over 7% on upbeat Q2 results. The stocks actually gained, well, at least it had at the time of the writing, about 50% in the past year through the close of yesterday. Let's talk about how they did on their earnings. The net loss, they're still losing money, but they did narrow it down. They lost about $42.8 million. That's substantially down from how much they lost last year on the quarter, which was $552 million. So if you're looking at earnings per share conversion, that's 25 cents per share. They lost this quarter. Compare that to the $6.86 per share they lost a year ago. So fantastic cost control there and margin expansion likely. Their adjusted loss per share, so now we're talking about adjusted, not GAAP. 22 cents a share, slightly better than the consensus of 23 loss. Revenue did surge 90% year over year, all the way up to $314.5 million, which easily beat the estimates, which were actually less than 300 million, 297.75. Their segment growth, their genomics revenue saw a doubling of revenue year over year, fueled by strong demand in oncology and hereditary testing. Their data and services revenue also surged 36% year over year. The CEO here cites significant re-acceleration of the clinical testing really as a key catalyst, and their guide. What are they talking about for next quarter? Well, for full year revenue, they're guiding about $1.25 billion, 1.26 billion, up from the 1.25 prior guide. So $100 million more there. On adjusted EBITDA should be about $5 million, Joey. And the analyst consensus was 1.25 million in revenue and 5.1 million in EBITDA. So beating on the revenue, not quite there though on the adjusted EBITDA. We'll have to see what that actual number comes out next quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, from a technical standpoint, guys, you can see that we have this support level, and you get that gap up, but now the majority of it's been being filled, all right? So you get the close from yesterday's session, you open up, you climb a little bit higher, and you run into a prior resistance around 66.49, and then you sell off. So we identified the resistance zone. What do we do next? We go and look at the options chain to see if there's any form of key levels and an outstanding amount. And there's nothing substantial at that 67 level, but what I would want to keep an eye out for is that 62 strike with 12,800 contracts currently open on the call side, that is. And you can also see the volatility increase as well. So that volatility went through the roof after that. So yeah, keep an eye out on that specific level. 62 is now currently under the water, so look for those contracts to expire worthless by the end of the day.
Adira, what's your look over here?
Yeah, I don't have too much to say on this one. The intraday chart certainly looks like a bear flag and then a rounded top, so two different bearish patterns on one chart. I want to mention as well, for those who do not remember, do not know, this name, I think at least a large part of its surge to the upside earlier this year had to do with not insider buys, but notable buys from two individuals. Nancy Pelosi picked this up via options in January 2025. Then we had involvement coming from Cathie Wood as well. Cathie Wood's still involved as recently as July 10th. She was buying stock in this name. I suspect that we'll get some kind of notification after the bell today that she did something to her Tempest AI position. So just be aware, there is a lot of hype in that because of Pelosi and Cathie Wood's involvement. So shout out to Aunt Kathy, shout out to Nancy Pelosi, world's greatest trader. But all that aside, I do think like a lot of this move up has been driven by hype. So once fundamentals come in and kind of maybe disagree with that hype potentially to some extent, I think that's something to be aware of.
All right, let's go on to SoundHound soaring on strongest quarter ever. Good look for SoundHound. They're adjusted. We'll get to some of the numbers and we'll talk about what they did. Adjusted loss per share came in at 3 pennies, better than the 5 expected by the street on revenue of $43 million, which actually surged 217% year over year, smashing the estimates by $10 million. The street was looking for 43. They printed 33, excuse me. They printed 43. The growth was driven by new wins and cross-selling across their customer base, and they're guiding substantially higher as well. 160 million to 178 million for the full year, above the consensus estimate of 164. The CEO called it the strongest ever quarter, citing major market share gains in large under-penetrated TAMs, total addressable market. Their focus here is on the rapid expansion of voice and conversational AI markets. The CFO says the company is moving quickly to capitalize on industry growth. Joseph, I always talk about ChatGPT and the strides that they've been making in the natural way you just speak to chat. We've been asking to have it on the computer here for a minute. Hopefully we'll get it when we move on to the floor and we'll be able to ask it questions live. The audience will be able to hear us, and it'll kind of help us fact check some of the information on the show. But it's getting a lot better.
Absolutely. I mean, it's continuing to grow, and I use this reference quite often. That we're in such the early stages of AI. We're still using LLMs. I think it has so much more room to grow. And considering that GPT-5 came out yesterday, I believe it was a very, very interesting. Elon tweeted about that as well too, saying that it's going to eat Microsoft's lunch. But at the end of the day, it's a really good look. But for SoundHound, we took an attempt on this today. Beautiful. I love the price action from earlier in the session, but also take a look at it from a perspective of exceeding that expected move. Daniel Shea, Sharif told me this before, is that when you have that breached, either to the downside or to the top side, look for the continuation in the move. And you can see that we're up 30% on the day. But I also want you to keep an eye on the at the money IV. So now we're gone through the earnings report. You can see we've had that increase in volatility. But as we pass in time, the at the money IV is slowly start to cool off, but this is what is projecting that SoundHound may continue to the top side, considering that we have beaten that move and now are continuing that trend. So for me personally, what we got to do is always take a look at what the options chain is telling us. Is there put walls? Is there call walls? $10.05. This is going to be our largest size on the put, and then you can see the increase on the IV as well too. So there's the volatility annually, and then after the report, you get this major move, and there is nothing substantially large from a call wall. We see a put wall here that can insinuate a potential bounce, but there's nothing telling me that we're going to reject any of these strike prices right now in the near future.
All right, Adira, up 30%, taking out some key technical levels here at 13 bucks. What's the look?
Nice rounding thing here. I don't really have much to say about when I say rounding thing, I mean higher highs, higher lows, even off the open in a day where a lot of these names that gapped up on earnings didn't really stay strong. I think SoundHound from a chart perspective stands out. I think this is another name like Tempest AI, like MP, like actually a lot of the earnings day one names today. I would say to some extent it's driven a lot by hype as well, so be careful if you're investing it. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like the fundamentals are good, and I agree with you guys. It's in a really good space where it can capitalize from a lot of these trends, especially with the rate at which ChatGPT is accelerating.
All right, MCH Chip Technology earnings beat despite a revenue decline. Let's talk about it. They're down, I believe, about 5.5%. This is a company I have been invested in for a while. It is near highs, but not exactly at that $70 area. It dropped about $3.50 today. Q2 revenue came in at $1.08 billion, down 13.5% year over year, but about 2% above what the street was actually looking for. The street was only looking for 1.05 billion. EPS was 27 pennies, down from the 53 last year, but again, ahead, 3 pennies higher than what the street was looking for. The street wanted 24. Year over year declines really are reflecting the ongoing softness in key product categories. Let's talk about those categories. Here are their different segments. They had their mixed signal microcontrollers. They printed 532 on that. The street wanted 525. Not bad, and a 17.5% year over year bump. Other sales, you love that. Thanks for the details on that. 226 million versus the 243 estimate. That was obviously a miss, and a 14.8% decline year over year. Their analog sales, which are growing for whatever reason, I don't understand from the science part, but analog chips are back in vogue now because of AI. Apparently they're being used in these AI servers. If you guys in the chat have an explanation that you can give me so that I can echo it back, explain it to me. But anyway, the numbers here talk more. $316 million they printed in revenue. The street wanted 281. It's still down 4.5% year over year, but beat the estimates. The key takeaways here is you get a beat on both the top and bottom lines despite the year over year sales declines. Margins are under pressure due to demand weakness with the microcontrollers and other segments. And watch for signs of recovery if you're invested to end the market in end markets to confirm the bullish thesis, Joseph.
Yeah, absolutely. So I pulled this thing up. It's not a name that we trade usually on a daily basis. And I'm curious, to be honest with you, I haven't looked at it at all. So I'm just curious of what's going on with this. From that previous all-time high, still down 37%. But from those April lows, you do get a nice 82% move. So that's a pretty good sign. And this is what I'm talking about when you want to see downtrends breached and then held. This is exactly, we went over the examples in AMD, NVDA, and there's a couple other names. Same with Novo Nordisk. You want to see this breached and then held, and then sure enough, you can continue on that trajectory to the top side. But from an option standpoint, I don't even know. Let's see. So the at-the-money IV, considering that they reported last night, is relatively high, but there's no volume or no open interest. So for me, this is just an e-liquid option. So we'll continue to see what this name has to bring. But I've never looked at it from an intraday standpoint.
Okay. Any comments on MCHP, Adara?
Yeah, I'll be really quick. One pattern I'm noticing here is that, so yes, they beat earnings estimates, they beat revenue estimates, but both of those declined on a year-over-year basis. So that means that the street was expecting them to be weaker. That's never like a great sign, I think. The other thing as well, you know, like you said, down year over year in every segment. I just don't like the look of this. There does not seem to be, at least from my perspective, if we were going to get it now, not a lot to be optimistic about, but things can always change. I think today it hasn't really sold off too aggressively, kind of chopping intraday, which is, I don't think, a bad look from a stock perspective. But I think the fact that it beat estimates, even though the street was expecting declines, and it did decline year over year, I don't know how I feel about that.
Nominates Stephen Moran to the Fed board. He's a temporary ahead of a key chair decision. Let's talk about that. So he nominated an individual by the name of Steve Moran. He's the current CEA chair to fill Adriana Kugler's vacant Fed board seat. That is going to be until January 31st of next year. He indicated Moran's role is temporary, keeping his options open for permanent 14-year appointment. That's how long these terms last. The nomination still requires Senate confirmation, likely to happen in September if it does happen. I think that there's something going on with the Dems there. They want something, a quid pro quo. You're going to have to do your research on that. So Moran has been kind of a critical of Fed policy lately, especially the aggressive COVID-era stimulus. He authored the book Mar-a-Lago Accord, where he advocated for the dollar devaluation, kind of to address the U.S. account deficit and likely, obviously, to increase exports. He previously opposed Janet Yellen's Treasury debt strategy, and he kind of supports Donald Trump's approach to these reciprocal tariffs and is quite pro-crypto, just to give you an idea of who this guy is. He served as a senior advisor under Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. He helped develop the Paycheck Protection Program back during the 2020 COVID era. Trump, if you don't know by now, he's obviously pushing for sharply lower interest rates. And there's been a lot of talk about him putting in a shadow chair to kind of take over Jerome Powell's job next May, where that shadow chair, would go and, pronounce his or her policy strategy to the media so that the market would discount it and start taking actions. So we'll have to see how that works. Moran could serve as a dissenting voice against Powell until January. We already know we got 2 dissents last time, the first time that's happened since '93. Powell's term as Fed chair, as I mentioned, ends in May, with contenders including, there's many, Christopher Waller, Kevin Warsh, Kevin Hassett, you name it. The next FOMC meeting, Joey, September 16 and 17. Markets are, at least for the moment, expecting the first rate cut, the first one we'll have since December of last year.
Yeah, you know what's funny? So when we first started quantitative tightening, it was weird. So we've seen the rate hikes, but then the market was pricing in about 6 to 8 rate cuts in that same year. And then we see none of that. We've only seen increases, but now we're pricing in 2. Come September, I think we have, like you just mentioned, we have that 90% chance. I think we do get 2 by the end of the year.
Yeah, a lot of people are actually saying that, bro.
But do you remember that when we first started QT, that they were like, hey, we're going to price in like 6 to 8 cuts, and we didn't get those cuts. And then look what happened
last year.
Right? Exactly. So look what happened to the market after that point.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Adair, you've been doing a lot of research on this kind of stuff. It's been one of your things. What do you feel about this guy and the whole thing in general?
I kind of think it's interesting that yesterday, about 2 hours before this appointment was announced, he likely already knew by this point, he was going on a news program, it was either Bloomberg or Fox, and he said that Chris Waller was the only member of the Fed that had not succumbed to, and I quote, tariff derangement syndrome. So that might not be the best way to start your tenure with a group of people you're going to be in close quarters with at least, once every month or two for 6 months. I don't know. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I think he's likely, I mentioned this earlier today too during Money Talks, I think putting someone who kind of has that pit bull aggressive energy into this group of people, especially when everyone else is going to know what his intentions are, I think it's an interesting choice. But I think one thing too that's interesting is, at least it was reported yesterday, like a couple minutes before the appointment was announced, he is not really being considered as the actual Fed chair itself. So that is an interesting dynamic. That could keep the Fed members off their guard. I want to wait and see. I'm very excited, and I updated this infographic like right when we got the announcement. That's how excited I was. Also, this confirmation hearing is going to be so much fun to watch.
Pushing back against Donald Trump's comments yesterday that he should resign, reaffirming his commitment to the United States. So what happened? Lip-Bu Tan, who's Intel CEO, issued a public letter defending his reputation after President Donald Trump called for his resignation over alleged ties to Chinese companies. Tan emphasized that he spent over 40 years in the U.S. and he's adhered to the highest legal and ethical standards, his words, and he has a strong commitment to the company's mission. He stressed Intel's role in the U.S. technology leadership, as well as the manufacturing strength and national security. So allegations stem from concerns over conflict of interest that he has. He highlighted in a letter from Senator Tom Cotton a few days ago, requesting answers from Intel's board on these China links, and the questions really focus on Intel's $8 billion federal grant under the Biden-era CHIPS Act and whether these ties could possibly pose security threats. I went through that whole thing yesterday where we detailed all the alleged conflicts of interest. I'm not going to go through them again today, but just needless to say that Intel now, just as a company without these issues with Lip-Bu, is already having trouble. They can't seem to find buyers for their 18A architecture. They can't seem to find buyers for that next-gen architecture 14A, which is akin to Taiwan Semi's 2-nanometer production. So they're actually putting pause right now on their Ohio fab build-out. It's been on pause for a hot minute. It was actually supposed to be done this year. It's now likely going to be completed in 2030. And that's not because they can't build it fast enough. It's because they don't have the customers to buy the chips that they're going to build at that plant. That is the major problem here. Obviously, national security is an important issue, but Intel, I feel, has bigger issues. Joey, what's your look?
Yeah, absolutely. So just from a gaming perspective, I know they're not obviously the largest, not what the street's looking for, but you're starting to see Ryzen AMD's chip take over the Intel chips, especially in the gaming sector. But that's not going to be enough in order to obviously take care of what's wrong with this company. For me personally, $19.78. You've been trading within a $5 range for an extended period of time. And you're also, from a weekly standpoint, at levels from, let's see, $18, $19. Yeah, so you got to go way back. This is 2011. This is pretty dead money options standpoint. Nothing substantial either. So for me personally, you can see a concentration through 20 all the way to 21.5, but there's not much on the put side either. So 20 does have a little bit of a put wall that can be acting as a base, and you can see that there's a key support level throughout the previous patterns right around that area. So look for a potential bounce, but other than that, don't expect it to do anything else other than what it has been doing for the past little while.
Derek, can you add any more color onto this story?
I don't have much more to say beyond what I said yesterday. I think that the timing of this is interesting because it's not like, as I know Neil has said, as you've said, as we've all said, these weren't new allegations. These came up as basically when his tenure was announced. It's interesting that this is when the government chooses to look into it. I want to wait and see what comes of this. Interesting that he responded. Like I said, I don't have much more from yesterday.
It launches ChatGPT 5. They're claiming it's smarter, faster, and more capable. Obviously, OpenAI is not a public company. We can always make the connections with Microsoft. So they unveiled ChatGPT 5, calling it, again, their most advanced model ever. It's now available to all ChatGPT users, including the free accounts, but don't get too excited. You're probably going to be limited in your tokens, right? Just like ChatGPT 4, the old system, when you exhausted that, you got downgraded to 3.5 or 3 or whatever it's called. Altman described it going back to GPT-4 as quite miserable, so apparently he likes it. No conflict of interest there. ChatGPT expected to hit about 700 million weekly active users this week, and as you recall, the company's in talks to raise money at a $500 billion valuation, $500 billion in other words. So let's get to some more details on GPT-5. Apparently, it has a lower hallucination rate, which is good because I'm getting hallucinations every day. I'm having to review this stuff every day, which reduces, obviously, fabricated answers. They trained it with 5,000 hours of safety testing and safe completions that give it, apparently, according to the company, a high-level, non-harmful response instead of refusals. It can recognize as well when a task can't be completed and explains limitations quite clearly. It's also a lot better than coding. Until that point, Anthropic had been kind of dominating the coding world there. It demonstrated vibe coding, which is generating functional web apps from simple prompts. An example of that would be, you built 2 unique French learning apps within seconds, including flashcards, quizzes, progress tracking, etc. So it's available, as I mentioned, to free plus pro and team users starting yesterday. Free users get to access GPT-5 with usage caps, as I mentioned, and then it falls back into GPT-5 Mini. So you don't actually get downgraded to 4. That's pretty cool. You get to GPT-5 Mini. Pro users get unlimited GPT-5 and GPT-5 Pro. Enterprise and education rollout expected in about 1 week, Joey. So we'll have to see if that finds its way onto Copilot. They have had technology sharing agreements in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. To your point, what you said earlier, Sharif, if people want to look for exposure to ChatGPT and OpenAI, you're going to either, I believe it's through SoftBank or MSFT, Microsoft, right? So we know that ChatGPT is integrated into Azure as well, too. They use the cloud. So, I mean, from a technical standpoint, Microsoft is continuing to climb higher. But, I mean, and Robinhood also got in trouble for trying to tokenize it as well, too, did they not?
They did.
So there you go. One way or the other, if they decide to go public or not, there's ways to get exposure to this name, and that's going to be through Microsoft, in my opinion.
All right, Adara, any comments on GPT-5? I know that you use chat, but did you try 5?
I did, and I have some qualms. So today I used it to make my Starbucks infographic. I'm really excited. We'll show that to you guys soon. Anyways, so I basically just said to kind of slow down my workload. I always double check my work, but I said, hey, chat, please give me a list of all of the Starbucks CEOs ever, include all of Howard Schultz's terms, because he had 3, and give me the timing, right? Like, when did they start? When did they leave? And then it stops at the guy in 2022. It does not have Laxman, and I think it stops at Howard Schultz's 3rd term. No Laxman, no Brian Nichols. So I go back and I say, hey, you actually missed 2 CEOs. Can you please add those for me. And it said, sure, can you tell me their names? And I said, well, okay, we're done now. So I was testing it, because usually I would just tell it the names, but I was testing it. It failed the test. My review on GPT-5 is eh.
That's a real use case, so that's fair right there. Let's go on to MP Materials. Fantastic report there. There was one little hiccup, but the price action speaks volumes, and this thing has been rocketing up lately, especially after that Apple deal. So Q2 EBITDA came in at $12.5 million on sales of $57.5 million, which beat the Wall Street's estimate of $20 million EBITDA. Last year saw about $27 million on net sales of 31, so growing their top line, but their EBITDA number coming in a little bit less. How come? Probably building out facilities. We'll get to more information on that in a second. It was up 10% pre-market. It's now parsed some of that gain down to 4 1/3. 78.17. It was quite close to its record highs. And it's up about 200% in the last 3 months. And the average Wall Street price target has jumped, guys, from 27 bucks up to 60. So the analysts really taking note of MP Materials. It's got a Pentagon-backed growth catalyst. And I'll get to this in a second, but let's just go through these lines. So July deal with the U.S. Department of Defense includes $400 million of an equity investment into the company, with up to $350 million more in additional funding, as well as a $150 million loan. The funds will be used to support new rare earth magnet manufacturing facilities to expand mining and process capacity, as well as trade. So here's the deal. What was happening was you had American miners that were pulling out rare earths or rare earth elements or magnets, and they're refining it and trying to sell it. And the Chinese companies would come in, undercut you by like 75% just to bankrupt you because they were state-backed. And so once you were out of the picture, they could then raise their prices. It's called, I think they call that, what's the word? Dumping, okay? It's like an economic term. And so what they were doing was they were weeding out everybody who wasn't a Chinese player in that space. So what MP did here was they went to the US government and they said, protect us from this sort of predatory economic strategy, right? And that's what this money does. So even if the prices drop, they have the funding there in order to be able to run operations and not get bankrupt. You gotta like that. Hate the government getting involved in business, but in some cases it's warranted.
Well, we've seen this stock start to move when we know that they're trying to strike a deal with China regarding their precious metals.
There you go.
And then sure enough, you're seeing this continuous gap up. Sharif mentioned as well too that you're up over, what was it? What was the percent? Over 200%. Sharif, from May, you're up 321%. So that's some really nice moves here in MP Materials, especially government backed.
Yeah, man, it's a crazy look here. Adara, any comments?
Yeah, I think that the thing that I think is good for this long term is A, that, as you guys said, this story is still ongoing. B, last week we had a report that the U.S. government is apparently committed to giving MP Materials money, but also other companies in the space. So I think the continued support is a really good look, not just for the company, but for the space. The fact that the earnings are generally good as well, another sign of confidence. That's all.
Yeah.
BM&R is flying here, Joey says, likewise with ETH. We got one more story, Joey. Well, let's talk about gold, because gold's making I don't know if it's all-time highs. Where is GC? Up to almost 3,500 bucks on the December 29th contract. Just going to look here at the daily. We got real close to highs. We got real close to all-time highs. Not quite there. I think we were higher back in April, but very much near the high end of the range. Why? So the U.S. Customs and Border Protection reclassified both the 1 kilogram and the 100-ounce Swiss gold bars under a code subject to import tariffs. These Switzerland gold bars are now going to get slapped with a 39% tariff on importations, one of the highest tariff rates imposed by the Trump administration. I think the only one higher is Syria, Laos, and Myanmar from yesterday's note. The tariffs are expected, obviously, to increase the cost of U.S. gold importers, and could disrupt supply chains. The move may shift sourcing to non-Swiss suppliers or boost economic mining or domestic mining, And gold's price action here, I mean, we just talked about that. It broke above 3,400 bucks after the news. I think that's a spot price. I'm talking about the futures price on my session over here. And the price later is dropping back down here. The takeaways, Joey, is the tariff news adds, that short-term bullish catalyst for gold prices, but that could also create volatility both up and down, and watch, I guess, for continued upside pressure.
Yeah, how could you even argue it at this point, Sharif? Since you've been in this bull run in gold since 2022, this is such a massive, massive move that we're experiencing. So there it is, 1600, and I have to condense this here, and then we have to start all over again. So this is October of 22. You're up 116%. Gold has been in an absolute bull market, for a really, really long time. This was the largest pullback that we experienced, and that was in 2012, right? And then you consolidate, you put this rounded bottom in, and then essentially you don't even look back. You can contest the neckline here, but then it bounces right off it and it continues up to $3,400. Adara, what do you got for us on gold?
I think it's certainly a nice look for the stock right now. I mean, the chart itself has been, there's that clear 313.20 resistance level, but this isn't a technical story. This is a fundamental story, and I think it's an interesting one. We saw the same thing with copper, right, where we had these American copper plays trading higher. They announced copper tariffs. I suspect any kind of commodity-based item, if there is going to be a tariff, the commodity is probably on watch either for a trade or very likely a long-term investment as well. It's kind of all I have to say. It's the same story, different name.
Yeah, fantastic stuff there. As always, yeah, gold. I mean, the thing is, though, Adara, with this, I thought at some point we were going to experience a pullback, and we just never got it. You just trade within this range, and it never really broke through any of these key support levels. Are you surprised by that at all?
I honestly, I've just decided to learn to not be surprised by the market, because the market's going to do what it's going to do, and my emotions about it, it doesn't matter, right? I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be blunt about it. That's my opinion. I think that, I don't know. The thing with gold as well is, like I said, it's not a technical story. It's a fundamental story. So with that in mind, why would I be expecting some kind of technical behavior when that's not why it's moving?
Yeah, that's fair. Fair enough. All right, good stuff there. Thank you very much, Adara, for that. Thank you, Adara, in Trump voice. But guys, look at Ether go.
Thank you very much.
This is what we were looking for. And then obviously because it sucks to suck sometimes. I don't know why. This just faked me out. I don't even know why I didn't continue to hold it. But what an absolute breakout that we're experiencing in Ethereum right now, guys. So a really big time move, and this is what we want to see. We went through some of the numbers earlier, BMNR, Tom Lee, and then also the use case now of Ethereum and how it can benefit and how we're going to benefit from it. So now that's exactly why we're taking advantage of this. So let's pull up ETH from a weekly standpoint, and this is going to be a key level to break, right? So that 4,100 roughly. And right now, it looks like we're headed in that trajectory. You almost have a double top on a much larger time frame. You can see that there's a key peak here, but some whipsaw moves. But even though we have this massive resistance, I think at this point, considering we're looking at the higher time frame and the momentum leading in that direction, the strength on these tests, I don't think we're as strong as what we're experiencing right now, nor does it have the fundamental backing on it either, right? So there's a high level catalyst behind this. I think at this point, this is going to be the time where we break through this resistance zone, hold it, and then go and test that potential all-time high right there, Sharif, around $5,000.
All right, Joey, there is not a whole lot happening in small cap, gap, or world at the moment. I don't know why this thing maximizes and goes to the other window. A lot is breaking down. The only trade that I had left.
Mine does that too. When
I know. It's so weird, right? Yeah. CAPR was the only one that I had left on over here, and I think we wet the beak already on that. Where is my CAPR trade? Yeah, we took it out there as it broke through 20s. We were in at, I believe, mid-90s. And then, it's still putting up some higher highs and higher lows, but everything else really has broken down. You have BTAI breaking down, SMX breaking down as well below VWAP. Likewise with VVPR, this one didn't hold on to VWAP at all. It was one straight move down. Likewise, as I mentioned with BTAI, EBS breaking down, HL finding support at the volume weighted average price yet again, but still eluding it is another higher high. It had been doing that basically all day, finding support at the volume weighted average price and, attempting higher highs. You're getting VWAP here. The VWAP hold, but not exactly higher high. AXL continues to trend higher, but also still a couple of pennies off that high of the day at 532. But it's been a good look for these ones. NEGG, though, is continuing to trade well above the volume weighted average price. And my perception here on NEGG is it's finding support at a previous area of resistance. That $80 area had been a range until we took it out decisively at around, what time was that? 12:20 or so. It makes another high into 86 bucks, 85.99, and now you have a triple bottom at 80 bucks. So NEGG continues to do very well lately, and I just want to show you guys what the daily has been like on NEGG. And this is not something you typically see on a small cap gapper. This thing was trading in, early May at around $4, and now it's up to 86. So just in a matter of a few months here, you got an 1,800% move on this name. I mean, it's fantastic look, and it's showing up on my daily chart or my scanner almost every day. Nary a day is there where neg doesn't show up, at least in some way, shape, or form. So continue to watch that if you're into these small cap gappers. Nothing else here for me to cover. If you guys want me to look at something for you, just throw that in the chat, and we'll have a look at it for you, Joey. But yeah, been an interesting day on the market. Let's see what we did today on the day. We have a positive day today with our only loser being VVPR. So that's not bad. We traded 5 names, 4 and 1, not too bad. And we'll continue to keep an eye out on that, Joey, but not much else happening at the moment.
Absolutely. So that's a good shooting percentage there, my friend. 4 and 1. We like seeing that. Again, we've gone over this multiple times, but this is Ethereum just churning shares. It breaks through that high, now up 4.3% on the day and continuing to climb higher. Man, oh man, it sucks to be Devin Haney sometimes, even though the guy's got a lot of cash. But the thing is, though, it's like, Sharif, I'm waiting all day for this continuation. I get a little bit of the move, and then I get out of that trade. So, like, why do I do that? I don't know. But it is what it is. We'll accept the fact that we did get the majority of the move here on Ethereum. Just monster stuff. To be honest with you, not my most profitable day, but I'm actually really happy with my execution throughout the process. With the multiple attempts, it's getting out when we're supposed to get out and getting back in when we're supposed to get in. Other than with the exception of the final trade, there. Obi, you see that Ethereum trade there, man? This one here, brother, all day we've been trading this thing.
That's
and
a great trade,
and
bro.
then just churning and then just keeping rolling. Whoa, I got paper hands. I don't know what else you want me to tell you. Selling so early. Yeah, I appreciate that. So yeah, tower's on me tonight. No, I'm joking. Is Nimrod coming, brother?
I think he's here.
He's here, yeah.
Oh,
I think he's here.
Oh, is he here?
I saw him in the hallway.
Okay, good. That's good. Nimrod.
All right, guys.
2 o'clock?
Where we at? Yeah, we've got about 30
30
seconds or so. It's been an interesting week, no question about it. There's a lot happening in the market. Sorry? No problem. A lot happened in the market this week. Joseph, a lot of, we saw the deal with Europe. We also saw the increasing of the 25% additional tariffs on India, now up to 50. We also saw the reciprocal tariffs took effect yesterday with Myanmar, Syria getting slapped, Switzerland getting slapped big, 39% raising the price of gold. So we had a lot of macro stuff. Any expectations going into next week, Joey?
That's a tough question, Sharif. I mean, for right now, I don't see any headwinds. So why wouldn't we continue on the path that we've been currently been on? And I think that's how you got to look at this market until we get a sentiment change. Even though you'll have those days where you have those pullbacks, but you mentioned a while ago, we haven't seen a down day. We've maybe seen now over the past couple of sessions, you've seen 1% or 2% down. But other than that, it hasn't been significant. And guess what happens after those selling sessions?
What happens?
You bid right back up. You continue to climb higher.
Feels like that, right?
I think you just got to stick with the narrative until things change around you. And I don't know. I don't see anything as of right now doing that.
All right, yeah, I have to agree with that. I'd like to see maybe some more trade deals.
Some more
get
trade
struck
deals.
next week. I'm talking specifically about this country. We're in a limbo right now. We have 35% tariffs. But here's the deal, Joey. There's a lot of misinformation in this country because in the last 3 months, listen to this.
I'm listening.
In the last 3 months, Not 91% of the goods that went from our country to the United States were covered by the U.S.-Mexico-America trade agreement, or whatever they're calling, CUSMA or whatever, okay? 91%, meaning only 9% actually was subject to that higher tariff rate of 35%. So I think the alarms that were sounding more from emotion than from fact. Sure, you have some industries that are going to get hit. That 9% is going to come from somewhere, but it is by no means feels like it's going to have the economic effect that was being made during the campaign.
Yep.
You know, the election campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that front. The market does tend to overreact. As humans, we tend to overreact. But again, so what happens is that after we went through the tariff turmoil, the market was pricing in the best case scenario, and I think we ran into that situation. And
Kind of.
Yeah, right. So we ran into the best case scenario, and then that's why you see this continuation of constructing new all-time highs in a lot of these names, especially in some of the Mag 7s in the likes of NVDA and Microsoft as well too.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
All right, the boys are pumped and they're ready and they're here. Obi is in for, I know, ETH. Show me ETH before we go, though, bro, because this is ridiculous. Assassino, if we can show Joey's screen
look
there,
at this thing continue
it doesn't stop.
to go. It's not stopping whatsoever.
Ridiculous.
Wow, that's a beautiful, beautiful breakout. Tom Lee says this is the 2017 moment for Ethereum, according to Bitcoin there.
Boom. Big boys that way. See you guys soon.
Get it, Ethereum. Get it. Is it Joe? Is it Joseph? Is it Joe?